Hey guys, welcome back. Today we will be talking about Chapter 14 content that came out throughout this entire campaign. Joining us today is a 5-person team. So say hello again, Erbie, who is now back.
Hello.
Good to have you
I'm
again.
back.
And also joining us is Harvey and Milk.
Hello.
Hello.
There we
I'm
go.
not sure why we're bundled together, but that's fine with me.
I just sort of imagined you would say your hellos in unison for some reason. Okay, and lastly, joining us is Zalgus.
I am not bundled with anyone.
That is true.
You could have been bundled with me. Hello! Anyways, we're scrolling around a bit too much. So we're going to go continue this stream. We'll just hop right into it, as everyone else plays Pet Party in the meantime, I guess, in the Discord activities. We'll go ahead and start with Loki. Yo, Prisman, welcome. So I'll be covering this unit. Man, it's been so long since I've done discussions, I almost feel like I don't know how to start this. Alright, so Loki, he is an entertainer's unit that is the 5-star of the banner of 2 5-stars. And let me just select this one. Right. So his role in this game is more on the defensive and debilitative side. First off, I'll just mention that he is a tanking Punisher, which is to say he kind of works by using taunt as an ability to coerce people to hit him. So there's a few archetypes like that. But yeah, he has taunt on face start as the bait, and for his punishment, what he does is he curses the combatants that hit him, as well as applies rage to them. So the effect of this is that they kind of cancel each other out, although the curse actually does spread to the enemy's collateral to the unit that is attacking him. So that's a bit nice, but the reason for rage doing there is it also acts as defense diminishers, so the enemy will actually take more damage thereafter. The one that specifically hits him, that is. So it's kind of a double whammy in terms of punishing the enemy, both in terms of reducing their damage as well as reducing their defense. In addition, he also inflicts bind at a 70% rate and steals a bit of HP at a very low rate with a very minimal amount of 300 HP. At 30%. I don't really know why that skill exists, besides maybe Life Wonders misunderstood that it's the effect can revive him. It cannot. If you are getting hit and you have this kind of healing ability that happens after being hit, the healing effect actually applies before the damage is applied. So this means it's kind of a dead effect. Just ignore the healing entirely, honestly. And very interestingly, he applies a reduction effect of 20,000 HP to all enemies whenever he departs. And the neat thing about this is that it actually is true for his 3-star as well, so you might want to keep that in the back of your mind. It's guaranteed, and to all units either way, whether it's his 5-star or 3-star. And the last part of his punishment would be the fact that he can inflict weakness on enemies that are within his range and magic range after the movement phase ends. So, he can tank quite a bit. That's because he does have tenacity on turn start. And as I said before, he also inflicts curse and bind. He also has this somewhat interesting effect of reflect debuff to self after being debuffed. So it's not going to block every debuff. Just to make you understand, it'll block every second debuff. It's very strange. At least that's my understanding of how it should work. In addition, he also takes extreme damage reduction from all damage, which is, all range damage of a 0.1 times multiplier. And he can heal a bit when he charges. And in addition, he can also charge his spam, so that he can heal quite a bit. That's actually the next thing I'll be talking about his kit, which is he theoretically can charge his spam very, very frequently and gets a lot of damage from that as a result. Because he has this incredible effect, which I'll get to later, of building his CP real quickly. But first, let's talk about his actual damage sources. So, first and foremost, he is a charged damage dealer, as I said, And on his charge, he applies crit plus to self, as well as removes all the buffs from enemies, which of course includes defense buffs, things like that. And as I said before, he also applies weakness, and his damage potential it's decent. It's not amazing, but just to give you the rundown, if he has weakness on the enemy with his Infernal Advantage, with a regular magic attack, he's going to be dealing a bit over 3,000 damage. If he also has Rage on the enemy because they hit him, then that would be a bit under 9,000 damage. If he's using his charge with critness, with his charge crit and weakness and Infernal Advantage, that's about 35,000 damage. And if on top of all of that he also has Rage on him, that's about 88,000 damage. So it's decent. But yeah, on top of that, he has some piercing effects, such as being able to, again, remove all buffs when he charges, but as well as just having a standard total defense buff piercing. So that is, he completely has the full multiplier for both all the defense upgrades, except for evasion, which is only halfway through at 100 times. You need a full 200 times to fully pierce evasion, but that's just the standard way they apply defense buff piercing. So there you go. Now, the more interesting part of this is how he actually accomplishes his charge spam. So, he self-bestows a fairly massive 40 CP to self every time he misses. It's a bit hard for him to miss since magic range plus taunt, but if you can, you can play him a bit like Fushime and shove him in the corner to sort of bait everyone. Well, I guess it's more like playing like a Tobo Plus at that point. And he also has immobility on self on turn start for the first 10 turns, so even if that's removed, he'll just keep on reapplying it. And yeah, that should help give him a bit more CP. If you want a reminder, that's 12 CP every turn start, or end of turn rather. Yeah, I'm a bit rusty, Prisma, my bad. But yeah, lastly, the more interesting source of CP would be his application of 20 CP to self every time he is buffed. And what's interesting about this is it's at such a high rate for such a large amount at the refreshable effect of after buff. 80% is quite high. I believe that's like the highest self CP effects have really gotten in general, besides the really low CP ones. And in addition, it's like the near highest units who can give CP to self was, I believe, Inaba or Jormungandr. It's probably Inaba, honestly. But I believe that was like at a maximum of 12 CP only. So Loki nearly doubles that at 20 CP. And as a result, he only needs 5 single turn buffs every turn in order to get his charge every turn, which is quite impressive and nearly guaranteed at such a high rate. Guaranteeable if you decide to use something like Glint and the new Guild Affiliation realms, which we'll be talking about throughout the stream as well as at the end in more in detail. But yeah, he does have a few sources of buffs on himself. This would include getting up to 60 CP on the start of battle due to his immobility, as well as his turn start tenacity and his taunt on self on phase start. He also has that reflect debuff effect, which he gets every time he's debuffed. So I'm not sure how common that would be, but yeah, you could use that to help charges. Think too if you're using someone like Tangaroa Mugen or Hecate. And there's also the crit plus on self every time he charges, which also contributes to that CP. So you can start building immediately after. Last but not least, he's also a bit of a debuff mitigator. As I mentioned before, he has that reflect debuff skill on himself every time he's debuffed. He also applies a nullify debuff to allies every time he misses to the units, the allies around him. So that's the full summary of Loki as a summary tanking punisher, as well as a charge spammer and piercing damage dealer. For my recommendations, I would say provide a secondary tanking unit and sorry, let me repeat that. Yeah, he provides secondary tanking and damage dealing. So you may want to bring a primary tank while he acts as a secondary tank, because he does have a few tanking capabilities, but more notably, he doesn't have to move whatsoever to activate any of them. So you could bring someone like Horikei Okami's Chapter 7 variant, or Tyndalos' Dragons variant, Ryoto's Cat Vessel variant, or even Tianzun for those moving defensive abilities. which Loki can just add on top of with his own sort of tanking abilities. And you may also want to bring someone who can bestow multiple buffs so that he can actually accomplish his super quick charge every turn. So he only requires 5 buffs, as I mentioned, to reach 100 CP. 4 buffs if you exclude crit he gets when he charges. And you can guarantee it if you use something like Skill Seed plus the Entertainer's AR, or even like the Stamer's Glint AR. There's a few removable buffs that you could consider using, such as crit plus, arousal, tenacity, protection, evasion, limit, some types of weapon changes, some types of resistances, and poison reversal and super glint, which we'll be talking about more later. And he also will activate that with ear removable buffs too, so if you know any on hand with units with those kind of unique hits, he would benefit from that. And he, as I mentioned, he is a Punisher and kind of baits units, but to make it a lot easier, you can bring Gurren Gotch, which, I feel like every time there's a new Punisher unit, we'll just be seeing Gurren Gotch, just like we have previously always said, just bring Oz, except for this archetype. But yeah, those are all my thoughts for Loki. I don't know if he's any good for the grind quest, but you guys can talk about, by the way, I mentioned this earlier to some of like Erbie and Zalgus, but you guys are free to talk about if these units are decent for the grind quests, the Blossom quest status that came out for Chapter 14 or not. Don't go too much into details, it's still not translated, but we did wait to put off this discussion for the express purpose of actually, seeing if these units were actually useful in the end for the relevant content. So, yeah, that's it for me. What else do you guys have to say?
I mean, by default, a lot of his kit requires him to get hit, so if you're trying to do it optimally, he's almost certainly not going to be useful. And I haven't used him personally myself, but I doubt he would be exceptionally useful. I will say, though, that it's interesting that his when leaving minus 20,000 HP to the entire board at 100% rate is also the same at 3-star, so I look forward to inevitably doing some meme video where I have 2 3-star Lokis and I just suicide both of them.
Yeah, that would work quite well. You could also consider bringing them with Pazuzu, who also has on this 3-star, I believe, that skill lock effect on everyone, which is interesting. But yeah, what do you guys think, Erbie, Harvey, Milk?
I think for a unit that should tank, I think he does lack a bit of tanking capabilities for a unit that requires to be hit, but I still think it's usable, definitely. Just not ever for any grind quests in particular, because yeah, he requires to get hit. That's not very helpful.
Yeah, I'm a little unsure about his grind quest ability. Like, I could see it possibly appearing in some guy's team, but I think his rates are a little shaky, and I think you probably need like affiliations to sort of compensate if you don't have like seating on the table.
It's for the affiliation buffs. I
know Erita made a team with 3-star Loki for CS for like the Chapter 13 grinding. I don't know how he did it. I think he did like NB shenanigans, but there is that option if you manage to play around it, I guess. I don't think it's super practical. I think he's just kind of memeing, but yeah.
Okay. Thank you for all your thoughts.
I also think it's definitely not the worst unit of this banner, at least, so that's saying something.
Not.
I just know that he's really annoying to fight.
Oh yeah, as an enemy, he is very annoying.
I figure between the debuffs and the all range and
his voice, his voice lines for
oh yeah, the voice.
If you thought the music was actually good for this chapter, unfortunately you won't be hearing it over his bleeps.
bleeps all over the place.
I will say it's disappointing that his kit has nothing about poison in it. Like, I was half expecting some lore-related weakness to poison or some hoo-ha, but...
That's Turing's thing. Although, if you want to describe it more in detail, you can, Zalgus.
He's the one getting poisoned, I guess. That doesn't count.
Loki pulled a really funny prank that got a god that everyone loved killed, and then he also went further and made it so he couldn't get revived by disguising himself and saying, "No, I don't want him reincarnated." So all the gods got mad and strung him up, and that's why he's in BDSM gear. And then they also put a snake dripping venom on his face, and that's why he has a venom skull. Or
yeah, I like Loki because that sounds so funny. That is.
If you would like more details on that, it's like the story of Balder or something, the god of light, and you can just search when Loki got Balder killed or something.
Yeah, it's just a prank, bro. Oh crap! I forgot to set the what's it called. I'll set it up after. But yeah, I think that's all our thoughts. So. Thanks for that. I'll go ahead and read the comments quickly, and then we'll move on to the next topic because we have a lot of topics. Presumably this is going to be a 3-hour long stream, so get ready for that. Let's see. Streamer Bears review when? I have no idea what that means. We only have their enemy kits, so hope they are in event drop. Oh, you're talking about the live streamers, I see. Not all of them are bears. Hey, Prisma. How did I make it on time? That is a good question. Loki, more like Loki. Love his art. Always wanted a big titty goth partner. We have Sonic Kumar at home. Yo, Xenu, welcome. Yeah, I did get a bit rusty. Inaba still gives enough CP. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Inaba actually gives CP to allies as well, so you might want to consider that. Oh, after buff CP effects, it's just like, there have been so many clones of Kakutsuchi, I'm just like, do we really need this much? Although I feel like Loki's own thing is exceptional just because it's so much, and, you know, he does it better than Yasuyori anyways, with his annoying-ass, weak-ass charge.
No!
It's the truth. You have to accept. Moving on. 10 out of 10, best auto-comper, Rip Furufumi. Oh yeah, he can just remain in place like that. All of these self-CP charge magic units make me feel sad for Christmas Yasuyori. I've just mentioned him from my own thoughts, but yeah. Kim's got it right too. Are shielding himself from spoilers have to also for Final Fantasy 16. Just for the stream, they can indulge a bit on, you know, if they're useful or not, but hopefully that's not going to explicit detail of what's up with the Chapter 14 quests. Loki looks like himbo, but that's just what he wants you to think. Yeah, he is a prankster. I really like his design here because, I don't know, he looks really sinister and contemptful, but I don't know how to describe it. It's partly just because I think the prank that Zalgus told me about that he did is just absolutely hilarious. It's just a prank. I do wonder if Life Wonders loses units constantly to high difficulty quests and makes more when leaving effects as the results. I don't know. When leaving effects are nice to have as things to punish what's called grind teams for, but I'm not sure if they actually apply in the Chapter 14 quest or not. You can 2-turn 1 quests with Christine, Loki, Lian, and anyone with enough damage to 1 square. Any 2 entertainers plus enough kill bonus. Yeah, I figured there's gonna be enough what's called damage just from the bonus, but I guess I know how many faces are. Guild affiliations should be discussed too. Yeah, we'll save that for the very end. I haven't really applied it myself, but I'll explain why later. It was Balder, right? Yeah, that's correct. Sana Kumar. All right, let's move on to the next topic. So the next topic is going to be Beowolf. This will be covered by Zalgus. Go ahead.
Oh boy, Beowulf. So we finally have the return of the much anticipated artist Gamma, who has been dead for whoever knows how long. Although if you ask me, I wouldn't have said it looked like Gamma from my initial impression, but whatever. Anyway, So, Beowolf is a decent slash or wide slash attacker, but only for 6 turns of the entire battle, and then he's relegated to below range. So, for the first 6 turns of the entire battle, Beowolf will gain weapon change, long slash, and crit. Together with his face start brawn, he'll be dealing 11.6k, which is a pretty decent amount considering Beowolf is only using brawn and crit, and both of those are uncommon. He gives himself 10 CP for each foe he hits, which is quite decent, and it's at an 80% rate, which is unfortunate that it's not guaranteeable with just seeds, but still, it's quite high. So hitting 5 enemies and proccing each time will give him 70 CP, so it can be a very fast charge. Easy enough to charge twice, or charge every 2 turns if you have enough enemies for it, and someone to buff him. And he applies fear to hit enemies and those behind. This is pretty nice, although honestly I think the 70% rate kind of sucks. But it will help him keep enemies in range for his attack, and enemies to the side away from Beowolf if they haven't got like a wide range to actually hit him back. He also deals double or extra damage against Dragon Ball units, which is a stupid lore thing because he's like choking out Wim or something. His CS is a long slash attack with crit plus, break, and 2 times advantage versus burn, and he inflicts burn every move phase and in a slash frost range, so he's likely to have the burn available, so essentially just a free damage buff. And with all those buffs together, he will deal 208k damage, which is a lot. There's nothing to scoff at, because he still isn't using any common buffs except maybe break. And that's with a low level break. Defensively speaking, he has a few things. He's immune to every single dot in the game, which is probably most useful for immunity against freeze, stigma, and countdown, since those are probably the most severe ones. 2 of them are damage, or reduces defense, and 1 of them is countdown, which will just reduce him to 1 HP. The other ones, like poison and burn, those will be useful in niche situations, probably against someone who has advantage, like Shenong or whatever. And he also has face start, guts, and adamantine before being hit at 50%. The rate on the adamantine sucks, but if it procs, it's great. It's a great buff to have. It's long lasting and it's before being hit, so he'll have that at least. Have that for that hit rather. I wouldn't rely on Beowolf actually tanking the front line without help though. Even if he gets adamantine off, that's still just the 1 damage buff or defense buff. So he'll probably need some support to actually either wipe out the front line or to shore up his defenses. He also has this irrelevant when leaving skill that deals negligible amounts of damage to enemies and Ardor to allies, which is cool, but Ardor is common anyway. I don't know why the flat damage is in such a irrelevant range of slash thrust. Yeah, I don't get that skill. Right, so Beowolf I think is best looked at for just his first 6 turns, because he becomes a lot less useful after that. You want him for his considerable long slash damage, and it's easily amped and it's available right away. Compared to the other 4-star long slash units, his damage is easily higher than most of them. In fact, most of them aren't even for attacking. There's normal Yasuori is 7.8k, and Suzuka is anywhere from 4 to 6k depending on adjacent enemies. August relies on a 64% crit, as Azathoth, or Halloween Azathoth needs to get hit and wait a few turns, etc. So Beowolf at 11.6k immediately is perfectly good for a 4-star long slash. But if you compare him to some of the 5-star long slashes, his damage can get dwarfed. Summer River Tajikura deals 22k, and Nightglow's Cthulhu deals like 76k or something ridiculous like that. So in terms of pure damage, I'd say Beowolf gets outclassed fairly easily, but only by the 5 stars. But I think the biggest thing about Beowolf really is that he doesn't really provide much utility. Most long slashes are about their utility, like how Summer River Tajikura just removes a ton of buffs, or Festival Licho attacks in a pyramid shape with long slash and into magic. And even at 4-star, Halloween Azathoth is more about his change enemies to long slash or his debuff mitigation. Valentine's Kent is a buffer. Yasuri is partial tank and protector. But all Beowolf really brings is the fierce spread and decent damage. So, despite all that I'm saying, though, I think he's perfectly good if you just need a reliable long slash attacker. Like I said, his damage is easily on top of 4 stars. It's like not even close compared to the other ones. So, if you don't need the utility of the rest, but you want a decently hard-hitting long slash that you want to build around, Beowolf will be perfectly fine. After all, not everyone has like Tajikura and Cthulhu, and they're both 5 stars and have their own caveats. Like Cthulhu has to move, and he kind of pushes everyone away, so he's kind of a solo fighter, and Tajikura can't get hit or just loses all his buffs and does no damage. And also Beowolf's CS does do obscene damage, so there can be a use case for that, considering how fast you can charge at you. If you can plan around getting his CS, it shouldn't be too hard, and then you can have him like New Return or something. So for units to use with him, there's not really much to say, honestly. He can take any of the common buffs, so common buffers like Lianan will do fine. In fact, Lianan's probably great for him just because she can quickly pull him into the position that he wants in the center. You can also do Mephisto because he will be tanking at the front line, and that will also provide even more CP for him. And as a short range unit, you're going to want someone who will pull enemies into range for him to actually, so he can actually hit them. So anyone who has board-wide pulls will go well. There's Behemoth for his 2 range pulls since his skill lever, or Boogeyman. And those are the first choices that come to mind. Boogeyman's particularly good since he can just pull constantly. Although, mind that Boogeyman doesn't pull Beowolf out of position, because that can happen, because he'll be pulling Beowolf as well. I didn't really bother thinking of people to support him defensively. Stuff like Poku for defense or CP. Let's just go with that. As for ARs, he does get access to a few nice ones by being below, even though he's really a long slash unit. Because he's below, he can use the Avaga Arsalan AR for defense penetration while being on long slash. You could also use the Seth Golem on AR for a phase start pull in 3x3 if you need to pull more, or if you haven't got the other pulling units. You can also equip, I believe because he's a normal, or what's it called, all type, he can equip the Toji Gulen Burst, the AR for limit on phase start if you really want a lot of damage turn 1. But yeah, besides that, I don't think the other ARs are exceptionally outstanding on him. But yeah, that's pretty much how I summarize him. He's alright as a long slash attacker, and that's about it.
Thank you, Zalgus. What do you guys think? Go whichever order you want. Guys.
Silence.
Oh my god.
This is my reaction.
Everyone wants everyone else to go first, I see.
Oh, I saw Erbie's icon flash. I was just gonna start talking.
Yeah.
Okay, you know I'll just pick randomly, okay? Milk, go first.
It's Gamma Copium.
It's the
I
best combo.
personally don't care about Beowolf because, like Zalgus said, I already have Summer Taji. So, yeah. I did kind of pull for him just because, he's limited and you never know, you might want an all-range long slash unit. Is he good for these farming quests? I really don't see it happening in particular, but maybe some guy can big brain or just shove him in there, because to new people who are just starting the game, I think he's a really nice and easy unit to pick up and play, aside from the fact that new people don't really have all range mats to collect easily, but that's a separate issue in and of itself. So yeah, kind of a boring unit, but hey, he's strong for what he does.
Okay. Thanks. You can go next, Harvey.
You can't do Summer Oz traps with them because he generates too much CP. That's it.
That's
I mean,
it.
it's okay. There's not a whole lot you can do with them. He's just a decent white slash attacker. That's all we use him for.
Okay. Also,
like-
be sure to speak close to the mic, Harvey.
Which is like fine because I guess we don't have a lot of 4-star white slash attackers that can fulfill that niche. But it's not really something that you'll want to pull for unless you actually like the character design for some reason.
Okay. Erbie?
I think it's a pretty good addition in terms of kit, because our options for 4-star long slash were ridiculously unreliable and very undertuned in comparison. So yeah, this is a pretty decent long slash unit that does not need to move exactly to perform to deal big amount of damage. So yeah, I think it's pretty neat, especially if you're trying to conserve some sort of team costs. But other than that, yeah, he doesn't bring anything to the table, and he's also very ugly.
I like the dragon.
Yeah, I like him.
So the long slash 4 stars, among them, the only one I can remember being a damage dealer is Suzuka, and she has that weird after attacking crit thing she's dependent on, so at first you won't even be able to do it. Is there any other long slash damage dealers 4 stars?
Oh, I forgot to actually. I forgot to actually account for Suzuka's after crit because I was like, oh, she must need combo, but no, it just needs to be the second target she
That's
hits.
the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's
long slash.
glorious.
Yeah. August can deal okay damage, but he has to do a
Always.
64% crit. Yasuori's damage is better than Suzuka's, not including Suzuka's crit. There's Halloween Azathoth, but like I said, he needs time to ramp up and he needs to be getting hit with debuffs. Who else? There's V Kenta, he's a buffer though.
Yeah.
I was looking at it like last
You
night.
said Beowolf
Alright,
was like
there's,
much higher than everyone else, right? Was that the idea?
yeah, he's pretty much just higher than everyone else. There's McCroy. You can see that in
don't-
his likes.
yeah,
But
don't do that.
McCroy is his
It's not
damage
real.
McCroy's damage is more about the snipe range afterwards,
Yeah,
not the long
gotcha.
slash. So
Anyway, yeah, my thoughts on Beowolf are, I mean, you don't need to move him for decent damage at a large range. So I think for a beginner player, he would be good as a plug-in and play. Don't even think about it, and he deal good damage for the entire front row. But you know, what's it called? I feel like I don't really talk enough about beginner utility for units, because that is a valid thing. I'm intrigued by these designs that aren't big brain or don't need complicated teams, but they work nonetheless just because they do damage and it's fine. So I can respect what's called Beowolf for kind of filling that niche of just improving what we have for long slash units. But besides that, I'd say only like his regular damage isn't that remarkable compared to 5 stars, as you said. His charge damage is actually quite respectable, though. I forgot if he actually mentioned the damage ranges for them or not, but since he builds his CP so fast.
208k
Yeah.
at SA1.
Yeah, that's really impressive. That's like, for comparison, I believe it's like Fushi with his charge does like 330k DPS, or damage per square rather. So, he's already approaching 5-star level damage, and that's at like slash range, so if he needs to hit 3 different units at once, could be good. And it's a 4-star too. And also, he will be very unlike to have any sort of advantage or disadvantage rather against units because of his type. But yeah, besides being a boss killer and being a beginner friendly unit, yeah, I don't really think Beowolf has much staying power.
A shame he's bloody limited, because he would actually be good to have in the general pool. There's probably lore reasons.
Oh
but,
yeah, he would be.
whatever.
Actually, beginner friendly, except he's hyper limited. Yeah, okay.
Also, I pulled up the list of the ones I missed were Yuma, who his damage isn't that great. He needs tenacity, but I think he's more there for his passive effects and his all-range CS on turn 1. And Smoky God, or Summer Pool Twilight, I did remember that.
Yeah.
Smoky God, whose damage is not that great. And lastly, Make Sail Fenrir, who I didn't even bother looking up how much damage he will do because I know his damage is terrible. Because I know he is terrible.
I mean, Summer Fenrir is more about being what's called a debuffer that reduces damage than a damage dealer, isn't he?
Just imagine,
I don't know. I try not to remember.
Flat damage.
Just imagine the bind reversal though.
Is that even on his Summer thing?
Yes, he has bind reversal, which gives him times 10 damage, which is cool, but he also has no access to his fucking skills.
Right.
Alright, I didn't bother talking about his 3-star, but his 3-star is only slash range and hasn't got crit, and but his kit is otherwise the same. His CS doesn't hit quite as hard because he only has crit, but I guess you could use it for that. But honestly, if you want slash range attackers at 3-star, pick Musashi or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's for the one turn. Although Beowolf might be good if you're expecting to go for more than one turn per phase. So he'd be a good alternative. And you know, unlike Musashi, he has a bit of a longer range than him too, so you know it could work out in your favor that way. What does Musashi have?
No, he doesn't.
It's just like
Musashi is slash, but his CS is long slash.
No, I'm just talking about his native damage multipliers. It's just crit, right?
Crit, concentration, and weakness and combo, or crit plus concentration and combo.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's
and
a decent
weakness.
amount. Oh, yeah, I guess you'd use
also weakness advantage.
Musashi versus Beowolf would just be, you know, a case of whether whoever has more range and if you need that range or not, I think. But yeah, I think we talked enough about this unit. Well, I guess I can mention that it's kind of funny. They decided to theme a character around choking and being turned on by it. Anyway, you're free to read out in the comments, Zalgus.
Beowolf, yes. Gamma G, we need variants from him. No, I will never get my Gyobu, and you will all never get your Ophion or whoever else he did. The Beowolf, no one wanted nor needed. We got what we deserved, and not what we wanted with Beowolf. Hello, I'm like, hi, see another Gamma unit in 7 years. I don't know, maybe Gamma Chaos can do something. And then we can get our other gamer. I don't even know what the last thing Gamma Chaos did was.
He wasn't it like the Ophion Valentine skin with him wearing that toga or whatever?
I thought it was the Temujin skin, wasn't it?
Yes, it was the Temujin skin.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Yeah, the thing where he's like wearing his traditional robes. Almost forgot you were streaming today. Hi guys. Hey Gene. You can use Oz if you have leaked Furufumi that can CS lock for 110. Yes, that's a very nice AR to have, and it would work on Beowolf, but if I'm honest, I don't think I would really pair them together, because there are other people who have greater damage. I mean, Beowolf's damage is fine, crit, brawn, and...
I mean, I'd say about an equivalent of 3 times damage multipliers. Well, you know, crit plus brawn is kind of the standard for what you need at a minimum to make a unit audible. And
yeah. Oh right, something I didn't mention about Beowolf is that his base attack stat is kind of pitifully low. It's just shy of 4k, which kind of sucks for an attacker.
It's okay because guild affiliations exist now.
I try not to consider those, because with that you can kind of make anyone overstated.
I'll just let you guys know here and now, you're free to add on any comments about their guild and guild affiliations, and I encourage you to even, you know, think about bringing units you normally wouldn't think about, even if their kits aren't the best match, simply because they're in the same guild. Because, you know, it's a neat feature, and you should talk about that as well.
Well, Beowolf is in the Game Masters, spoilers, and I don't actually know what that's about, but unfortunately all the Game Masters suck, so let's not bother considering that.
No, there's Alice!
Oh yeah, Alice.
I still don't understand why the 3 True Geniuses aren't part of the Game Masters, but okay.
probably spoilers. He came right after Yuma, so he's already losing. I mean, Yuma doesn't do anything after he CS's, and especially not after turn 3, and he loses his tenacity. Choking, excuse me, what? Yeah, if you look in that nice 4-star art right there, you can see that Beowolf is kind of pinning Wim down to the floor by his neck, and you may also notice, just behind the chat log, that Wim is also blushing. The dragon blushes, yes.
Yeah, he's
also...
he's enjoying it a bit too much, as you can see.
He's also a berserker. Oh, right, I guess that's not listed here, is it? I don't know if that's pausing incorrectly.
No, it would show here properly if that was the case. That's probably just maybe in the story, but not in what's called battle.
Strange. Guild stat buffs don't help supports too much who need their skills. Oh yeah, well, I mean, Beowolf is probably fine anyway, because he doesn't have many partners to go with, but I don't think he would take him in support slot.
Yeah. Anyway, let's continue. We will now be talking about Tianzun. So, this will be covered by our very own Harvey Keyes. Go ahead.
Right. Tianzun. I'm gonna try to be quick with this so we don't have a 3-hour stream. So, Tianzun is with the gurus, and he is certainly one of the units in that guild. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and check up his 4-star. His first skill, he resists everything that can heal him, basically. So, any regen effect that you want to put on him, he can't take it. And instead, he gets 5k HP at phase start, which is a pretty hefty amount, but it's not really enough to make up for the lack of regen. And I'll get into that later. And he also gets a bit of HP when he attacks at 80%, which is like kinda shitty, considering his weapon range, but yeah. His next skill, when moving, he increases vertical movement by 1. And this is useful because he does want to swap between front lighting and supporting from the back, because he has protection to self and allies, 2 squares and a cross radius, and also tenacity 2 squares behind him, or 3 squares behind him. And he also gives artery and shot range. So you wanna, the game plan with Tianzun is you wanna swap between him kinda giving that protection and tenacity to allies directly behind him, and then the next turn you want him to support his allies from the back with Ardor, since Ardor lasts 2 turns. His second breakthrough is his ability to resist all force movement, which is kind of whatever. You'll use it like once, like every 6 months in some random HDQ, I guess. But at that point, you might as well just use Seth for like anchor.
Or a Smoky God.
Or a Smoky God, yes. He also gives weakness to enemies hit when attacking at 50% rate. This will never be useful. It is like horribly inconsistent and is at a shitty range too. It's only to enemies he attacks, so it doesn't spread around. And after attacking, he inflicts flat damage to enemies near hit units, to the front and back of them, but it's only 2k HP. So it's like, imagine Nyquil's Kuragane, but infinitely shittier. His last skill, he gives blessing to allies after moving at 90%, and also null debuff at 60% for some reason. I'm not sure why it's so low. And move phase end, he applies anchor to allies 1 square around at 80%. These 3 buffs are never going to be particularly useful on their own. They'll be okay. So if you add all these skills together, he can give around 6 buffs per turn in different ranges. So that might be okay with units who want those after buff effects, but as a whole, these skills will never be really meaningful. Protection and tenacity are kind of decent, but the fact that he has to frontline for them, and he can't even take any regen effects, and the fact that tenacity isn't applied to himself means that he's actually a lot squishier than he should be. So he has a lot less staying power than, say, Summer Tindalos or Valentine Barghest. His offensive side with Ardor and Weakness are also pretty shit because you don't want to use a mover to just spread Ardor in a shit range at 80% rate. And his 50% weakness is also kind of... I don't need to explain that. His CS is kind of okay, I guess. It's 2k to 4k flat damage to hit units and enemies near them. And he applies break, so it's alright if you want to like mobilize enemies, I guess, but it's also whatever. Yeah, so I'm not sure who would pair well with this unit. I tried a lot of teams, but you kind of, when it comes to team building, you kind of want units that can either complement each other or cover each other's weaknesses. And Tianzun doesn't really offer any of that. There's no units that like want to fit into his game plan of like him swapping like in and out in a single column. And especially not in the Gurus, which are already kind of filled with shitty units. So with AR equipment, I guess you can take the Beast Tamer split AR, and you can also do the Crafter's AR, I guess, with the Kurogane on it for to prevent those attack debuffs on you. But yeah, his element and his weapon change, or not weapon range, his weapon range isn't going to help them equip a lot of ARs. The only unit who would be decent with them, and this is like Christmas Bertro because of blessing strengthening, but outside of that, there's not a whole lot of synergies you can do with them.
Okay.
Which is kind of sad, because I actually do like his design. I think he's like the hottest character on this banner.
Yeah, he's pretty hot. Is that all your thoughts on him, or is there more?
That's all.
Okay. I actually forgot he was Infinite type, because as special as it is, the rest of this kit is just not, so I forgot about that one thing too. It's pretty sad. Anyway, you're up, Zalgus. What do you think?
I think his kit is really bizarre, and I hate all those. Or I don't hate all of the mutually exclusive ranges. I think they can be cool for like Vanilla Fushi 5-star, who like gives like concentration, blessing, and protection or something like that in all different ranges, and I think that can be cool. The problem is that Tianzun has to move to do it, and that's a valuable slot. So having to move him for mutually exclusive buffs makes it kind of difficult to, I guess, strategize around if you're only buffing in these awkward ranges. Because, like you said, protection and tenacity to enemy or allies behind is cool and all, but he himself isn't that tanky. And also, do you really need protection in such a specific range behind him, and only behind him? Not like in a, you can't do box formations with him.
It's actually tenacity that's only behind him. Protection is ahead and to left, right him as well.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. But you can't stack them on anywhere besides behind him. I think that sucks. But yeah, I think it's neat enough, but I also think that I would pick many other moving units before I would pick him, and I would just, if I really needed this protection and tenacity, or either or, I would pick people who can actually like give it out passively or in less awkward ranges, like Aizen or Snow, of course. Also, personally, I don't think he was really that hard. Too sunburned for me. Where's Quantum?
Oh, yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get them in.
Or Schrodinger.
The next semester or whatever. By the way, guys, you're free. This is the discussion session, so you're free to jump in whenever you want to add on. I'm just picking who's going to sort of break the ice to get someone to start.
You know what? I would, but these units don't really have a lot to talk about for this banner because they're all kind of, especially this one.
Yeah, I mean, you can. That's fair.
The worst unit I've seen from this year. The worst.
You can talk
Which
about
is unfortunate because he's on.
You can talk about how hot he is while trying to ignore his abysmal attack stat.
The damage isn't on.
He's the worst kid I've seen since Enigma.
I mean, let's not go that far.
No, well, I said since. That was the worst one.
I'll just make sure each of you talk at least once if you haven't said anything. So, Milk.
But yeah, he doesn't really bring anything new to the table, and it's kind of funny that they gave him this protection and tenacity, like these two defensive buffs for a 4-star, which would usually be very good.
I think it's good. Well, I'm waiting to give my opinion after, but
later we'll talk about something that you probably already know what it is.
You just pair him with Loki. There you go. They're both defensive tanks, kind of, and it complements with Loki as secondary tank to someone else's primary moving.
Well, it's not worth it.
Tanking in general isn't worth it, but okay, I'll just give my thoughts.
It isn't.
Loki doesn't even apply the debuffs first, so Tianzun's just gonna take like a lot more damage than you want him to.
It's fine.
Tanking is not very useful, but he's not even a good tank, so.
Okay,
it's kind of.
I wrote one line for this guy, and I'm realizing the significance of it, despite it being kind of a meme joke. I wrote down he's an all-purpose column formation unit, and all-purpose is the emphasis here. So, you mentioned that it's hard to find units who would be good with him. I think that's the point. He's not really someone who synergizes with a particular strategy in particular with anyone. And there's actually a few units already like that exist, and there are general purpose units such as the Fashionista Zabania or what's it called? Well, pre-Evo anyways. Pre-Evo. Just calm down. Calm down. Or Yoshito, right? So whether they're simple to use like pre-Evo Zabania or more complicated to use like Yoshi, they serve the same purpose of they don't really pair exceptionally well with anyone in particular, but what they do is they're sort of okay-ish to good with any team because he does provide healing and offensive support and defensive support and debuff resistance and movement disruption resistance. That's a lot of effects, straight up. Yeah, even if it's like not coherent to a single thing, the fact that he has all these disparate things all packed into one tells me strongly that he's more meant for those kind of plug-in and play teams where, let's say you suck at team building, then Tianzun would be good for you because no matter who you bring, it would always be at least okay with Tianzun. And plus, I do think protection and tenacity is strong for a 4-star.
I would agree if he could actually survive long enough to do that all-purpose utility. Which
he has protection and also infinity, which means he's resistant to like most things.
It's not enough.
It really isn't enough.
And he has like he can hide away in the back.
And he's immune to all healing buff. So that's like
you can like run away to the back. That's what he does.
Era, his nullified debuff is at 60%. He has so many shit rage in this kit for some reason.
But he has a lot, you see, and so some will activate. Some will.
Is this where you're going to start saying that Keiichi was very good and useful because he has a lot
I would never say that for Keiichi, just because it actually takes 8 turns just for him to get his other ones. They were never random to begin with. Whereas this one, it's just he has all of them straight up on turn 1 if you're lucky. I just think that he's strong if you just, well, maybe not strong, but he's not terrible if you see him as an all-purpose unit that can fit with any, like if you picked a randomizer of units to bring with, he would probably fare better as a unit to bring with than most other units.
Is that the part that we're going with now?
Look, just because
I don't generally agree with that, but I'm just going to agree to disagree.
It's the same thing with what's his face, Beowolf, right? It's like he has beginner's utility, this guy has all-purpose utility. Just because we don't have a personal use for him for the relevant quests doesn't mean there's not, a relevance to someone out there.
Okay, but we know that Beowolf is good at something. He's decent at attacking things. We don't know what Tianzun's gonna be good for.
He's
other than, like,
good-ish to okay at everything, supportive-wise, not damage dealing, but he's like, instead of being an all-purpose damage and tank, he's like an all-purpose offensive and defensive support, and healing and debuff resistance and movement disruption resistance and just a whole bunch of things. I'm not saying it's great overall or that, you would ever want to use him for challenge quests or grinding, but as a, he might be decent for blind clears, for example, of your first attempts at things. Alright. Fine, no one has anything to say on that? Sure, I got it. Look, he barely said anything on this. Did he say anything at all?
No, we had a very spirited discussion about how Tianzun's good, despite not really being good, that I couldn't really penetrate.
Yeah,
I'll just leave a meme comment. I'll just leave a meme comment that, well, I told Harvey this, but I think Tianzun looks Caucasian more than Chinese deity.
Well, Canadian artists that's famous for presumably lumberjacks or something like that, so no surprise there. He does look like he's
something about like the sunburns that white people get. How Tianzun kind of looks like that.
I already got used to it from fucking Bombom's orange guy from Law. You know which I'm talking about, right?
No.
It's like Erbie. Who's that Bomb character from Live Hero that has orange skin and kind of looks like Jormungandr?
He doesn't have orange skin. He has red skin.
Something like that.
It's red. But it's too high, I guess.
Oh yeah, I'm just used to these extreme colors from Bomb already, between Orgus and Jormungandr and whoever that is. Suhail, I think that's it, yeah.
Chinese person.
Okay, anyway. We're running along. We're 1 hour in. Jeez. Okay, we're done with these. I mean, he's cute at least. He gets that. It's the art text. There you go. Feel free to read out the chat, Harvey.
Where do we leave off?
Ibuprofen man.
You need to explain where that meme came from. I know it's
I will not.
But...
The last time I did it, there was a mess and spoilers, so I will not elaborate on that here.
Oh, okay.
Did not get his 4-star. Waiting for him to surprise me. Get him during anniversaries, not limited. Seth and Smoky God aren't dead though. That is true. They are not. Well, Smoky God's kind of rich though, so I guess he's kind of like a sugar daddy if you think about it. Smoky God makes 50% to 100%. If you use Smoky God and Tianzun together, you are beyond saving.
Yeah, it's just for one turn, and Squillian's clearly, catered towards longer than 1 turn battles.
Pensive. Bad movers are rated the harshest. Yeah, that is true. He has a great design, and I hope his ult is actually usable. Yeah, I think after I finish seeding Iguchi, he'll be next, because I want him to get like a nice variant that's somewhat usable.
Alright, I forgot to say, I don't know if anyone said anything, but he's the first permanent infinity unit. We did it.
You mean like the second infinite unit?
It's permanent.
I know, but he's also just like the second infinite unit, isn't he?
Yes, but he's the first permanent and the first 4-star Infinity.
I mean, technically, Mugen Wakan and Mugen Tangaroa as enemies were the first Infinity
Still
units.
can't. They're not real. They're not real.
Yeah. We might get 0 and Infinity ARs like later for all around. I guess. Hot Grand Uncle. Yeah, these units are mid at best. Your cool, sexy, gay uncle. Maybe don't call your uncle that. Era encouraging the discussion. I only needed mech support if the mechanics were too varied between phases. Tianzun has a purpose, he lets me spend those infinity mats sitting in storage. Yeah, for everyone who didn't pull Wormendander, I guess this is your time to shine.
Prisma does have a good point, though. I forgot about those mixed mechanic quests. So he'd be okay for that, I guess.
Opium.
Sure. If we ever get something like a survival quest mixed in with an elimination phase, I guess he'll be okay.
There you
Maybe. Probably not. New players can be carried by friend support till they need a full team, then Tianzun is no longer useful. I don't think Tianzun will ever be useful for them. His skills are so shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's beginner friendly either, unlike Beowolf. He's more just, if you know how to use him, then he's more for just all-purpose blind runs and all that. And also, as you said, multi-mechanic in between phases.
Hail question mark. D Delph so he get in my eyes. Yeah, he is the hottest character in this banner, objectively. I won't be taking any opinions. Ibuprofen meme is a Zoomer meme, and I don't get it.
I
enjoy these.
I don't understand where the meme came from. Was it just like a random statement and put on a sticker and now everyone spammed it, or does it actually have some deeper meaning?
It's just, it doesn't have any context, it just came up in Tumblr. I enjoy these little moments when Ahura plays devil's advocate for a bad unit, and everyone is like, nah, they're shit.
No, it's not devil's advocate, it's just seeing what's clearly there. Alright, moving on. We are now going to talk about... thank you, Harvey Keyes and Zalgus for the previous topic. Ahura Mazda, this will be covered by Motosumi. You're up.
Okay, good. My mic is still on. Okay, let me pull up his skills. So Ahura Mazda is the other 5-star on this banner, and he's a world blow unit. And considering that we spent a lot more time on Tianzun than expected, I'll just try to go fast. When I first looked at this kid, it kind of reminded me of Fashionista Wakan Tanka, but it's actually somewhat different. So the reason why I thought that was that his first skill, he starts out with the space art evasion to self, and after he hits units, he gives protection to himself and the team. One square around himself. After he's hit, he gets his only offensive buff, which is Vigor. His second skill, he applies some debuffs to enemies, and these debuffs are skill lock at the end of the move phase and buff reversal before hitting a unit. The meat and bones of his kit is in the second skill, in which after he hits a unit, he charges up to 100 CP to himself. So this is really the interesting part about Ahura Mazda, is that even though he's a blow unit, he's actually cycling between a blow unit and a shot range CS due to this after hitting skill, where he just instantly charges his CP. And unfortunately, you cannot use Summeros or any like weapon change allies with him, because he resists all weapon changes. Not CS weapon change, but just regular weapon changes, and that's due to the second skill. His third skill, he removes possession. That's just whatever. He gets his after buff glint to allies, to himself and allies directly to himself. That's a little cool. It's only at 60%, but it helps him guarantee some of his raids when his glint is up. And he has this interesting phase start skill where he applies burn advantage and conflagration advantage to everybody on your team on the entire board. And you also get some charm resistance as well. And we'll see how that plays into things later. And for his last skill, he has this... He applies guts resistance to every enemy on the entire board. That's supposed to synergize with his buff reversal in his second skill, so you can automatically activate the buff reversal. This is also nice because that means that you don't have to bring the guts resistance AR if you do decide to use him. And this last skill actually has the second part of his kit that I think is interesting, is that he gives himself guts before hitting anybody at a very high rate of 80%. And it's interesting because he also gets guts in his CS, as we'll see later. And this is the other part of his kit. The last effect of this skill is also extremely important in that he also has status advantage against burn and conflagration. So what are the two main rules of Ahura Mazda? It's basically that below range and shot range CS cycle that I mentioned before, in which his charge skill applies burn to the hit enemies and the enemies left and right of those that he hit, and also conflagration, and he gets guts to himself. Because he applied large burn advantage and large conflagration advantage to himself and allies on the entire board, his shot range CS does a lot of damage, and that's basically a multiplier of times 16 because he has his own status advantage against burn and conflagration. It stacks with the burn advantage conflagration status that he bestowed as well. So I did the numbers, and if he has vigor, I think it was around like 300k damage. Yeah, 320k damage. So it's a really big CS. So he's a very good boss killer. Due to that. On the other hand, what I think is also really interesting about this kit is that he's actually capable of getting 100% guts now with the affiliation system. Because if you seed him, I don't know why, but if you like him, you might skill seed him. He can get guts at 90% at a 90% rate, and if you stack the affiliations, that's 100% rate. So Ahura Mazda is actually potentially a very cheesy unit when it comes to like guts spamming, because he gets guts before hitting a unit and guts on CS. And in fact, I think you can actually solo the recent Refrain Mugen Tangaroa quest with Ahura Mazda if you do that, because he'll just basically keep hitting and spamming his CS.
Didn't you do that when you were there?
It's great. No, I didn't do that. I used Halloween Azathoth for
No, not that one.
Tangaroa.
Mugen Wakan.
Mugen Wakan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of similar to Amducius because I tried to bring them both to see if they can kill a boss, and Ahura Mazda is pretty good at boss killing. There's one last aspect that I really also didn't mention, is that because he's applying burn and conflagration to the enemies left and right of those he's hitting, he's also kind of effectively giving a crit multiplier to your team for those enemies that you didn't hit. And that's really the last aspect of his kit, is that because his large burn and conflagration advantage are 999 turn irremovable buffs. What you can do is like stack him with people who already apply burn conflagration, and he actually kind of acts like some mini Yoritomo in that case. And I think the two people who particularly like this are Tadatomo and Nightglow's Kazuga. Tadatomo's variant, chapter 13 variant in particular, because then he just gets a crit multiplier and boom, he does like, I don't know, 120k damage out of the box, and you can stack another like burn advantage AR to buff that to 240k. So yeah, that's Ahura Mazda. He's kind of this Mimi, low end, short range CS unit. Is he going to be useful in farming? I really don't think so. You might be able to get some mileage to do this thrust range skill lock if there's like some annoying enemy, but it's really hard to bring a blow unit into a farming quest, even if they might change to short range CS later. But who knows? Maybe like we'll get somebody who just has burn and conflagration by themselves, and then things will all be fine. Oh, and AR recommendations. I didn't really see anything too particular. I guess you can bring a Varga Arslan AR or that Baller Shiva AR for more damage. But yeah, there's nothing that's like particularly like must need with him.
Yeah. Okay. Is that all your thoughts?
Yep.
All right. What do you think, Erbie? You're up.
Well, I think he's certainly a unit, that's for sure. He's probably one of the better units of this banner, somehow, in my opinion at least. I think the large burn and conflagration advantages can be pretty neat to synergize with other units that apply these debuffs, even though they're still quite a bit rare to inflict. It's still a considerable damage boost for them, and having these global permanent conditional attack buffs is always nice to hear. They really like doing these, and they're like in almost every unit now, and I think this is pretty neat. In terms of the whole charging and gut spamming, I was never a really big fan of spamming guts, so I don't really see that much value in it.
You're more a fan of the spamming invasion, huh?
Not really.
I remember your video from like 10 million years ago.
I've done a lot of videos. I've done a lot of guts videos as well. Doesn't mean I have to like what I did in those videos. Kind of like my Taishaku-ten videos with Summer Pool Smoky God gut spamming. But yeah, I'm not particularly keen on it. But at least his CS deals a lot of damage. And it's a bit of a shame that even though World doesn't have a lot of units, I feel. We get another 5-star blow range unit that is not really useful outside blow range, but yeah, that is pretty sad to me. World units do not exist.
His boss killing is respectable though.
Yes, he deals a lot of damage.
In the calculation we gave earlier, Milk, that was excluding buff reversal activated by the Guts resistance. He actually deals up to 800,000 damage in shot range, so I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't count the buff reversal just because it only applied to like
the one
unit in front of him. So like I guess if you had like a boss that you did hit right in front of him, then it would apply. But I just decided to like say like be safe. Okay, you're using a short range CS. I'm not gonna say that the whole thing is 800k.
I see. I do have a list, as you guys know, of column clear damage, but I did and also of board wipers. I did start making a list of boss killers now, although it's a very short list at this point, but I have a feeling they're going to make more of this type in the future. So in comparison, Amdusias with his charge blow can deal up to 1.66 million damage, which is like insane. If it's strictly blow range though, and if we're comparing it to 800,000, they're kind of close. One's just twice as much as the other. And the other one I'd say would be Fushi, but even when he has his charge and concentration and limited with 0 HP at crit plus, that's still only 330,000 damage per square. So that's more comparable to Ahura Mazda's damage if he doesn't have a buff reversal up on the enemy. So there does seem to be a kind of a range they're going here so far for boss killers, which is, around the 1 million mark or more. Yeah, that's a very short list. Like I said, that's pretty much it. Have you said anything so far, Zalgus, Harvey?
I have not, but the only thing I really want to say that is I think it's kind of funny that he has global 2x damage versus burn, and then we have Christmas Dead.
No, you're not supposed to bring that up.
Who has a global 1.5 times debuff to enemies, causing them to take extra damage versus burn, which
I forgot about that.
I don't know why they made that such a restrained effect, but I guess you could, in theory, stack those together to immediately globally have a 3x damage multiplier against burn. I don't know if it's worth it, because Christmas Dead kind of sucks. Besides that, or even with that, honestly, but it's an option. But yes, I think it's funny that Ahura Mazda just does it better out of the box.
No, it's not funny. It's sad. Let's not talk about it.
It's like your ears
wait
are...
until we get the Christmas rerun and we get the ski
Christmas rerun. Imagine having those. Christmas only prints once, and then you never see a reprint ever again. That's just how it goes. They're so behind in Christmas, it's not
I
even
can't
funny.
believe we ended Christmas with you all winning that stupid ass race, and then nothing ever happened after that.
Oh right.
I mean, it was a good
the
story,
last
but
Christmas.
yeah, it was
The
equal
one that
race.
didn't matter.
I mean, man, the kits suck on Christmas too. It only got really good starting with Gangstar. Well, not Gangstar, with Showdown rather. Anyways, we're getting a bit
What do you
sidetracked.
mean they only started with Showtime? I mean, we have Christmas Shoji, everyone's
Stop.
favorite.
Okay, we're moving
season
on.
contest.
So, can you please read out the... I think everyone has had their piece so far for this unit, so if nothing else to be said, you can read the chat. Look, and stop Erbie.
Eric, can you
It's
link
stupid.
the chat?
Right, sure, I'll go fetch the chat link for you.
Because the heart thing is like covering some of the...
I know, it's so annoying. But apparently it's some sort of live react feature.
Oh, now I see it on the... I don't see it on my browser, but I see it on the video feed, the stream feed.
Yeah, I don't know. Alright, links up. Dresser's still on that activity, I can see.
Okay, I will read it then. Oh, we're just idling, so it's nothing.
Okay.
Where are we? We have some boomer and then...
It was starting after John Rose enjoying me playing Devil's Advocate.
Probably something from the depths of 4chan, the meme. Well, if you're paying attention, Harvey said Tumblr, so that's wrong. Angel with a fat ass. OMG, it's him. It's Superman. Hey guys, it's... Builders Thingy? He's in the game, he's real. His muscles has muscles. Reminds me of what's his face from My Hero Academia.
Oh,
But for real,
Midoriya, I think.
I don't know My Hero Academia, so no comment.
Okay.
But for real, he's so thick, Ulysse went all out. Yeah, it's actually interesting because this guy is actually a furry artist and has a rather extensive background in it, so it's kind of interesting. I like him in Burn Team memes, which is possible to do with Oz and main quest Tadatomo. Yeah. Chapter 13 Tadatomo is really good since he applies Burden Conflagration. He's better than, say, Vanilla Arc for main quest Tadatomo, I suppose. Yeah, if you want the crit multiplier. I fell asleep. I also want to fall asleep. He's got a big peach, so therefore he's the best unit in the game. Trust me, bro. Do we have enough rule makers? We are still missing Michael and Amaterasu and maybe more.
Those are the main ones we always
less
see.
rule makers.
Oh wait, there's also current.
Personally, I think less rule makers are the better, but
Wow.
whatever. I mean, do you really want to run a team with like Boris and Corpiker and...
The answer is yes,
I don't
because
know.
I already have them. So, there you go.
That's why we need to expand the roster. So more rule
Bale,
makers.
I guess.
Harvey with the
no
brain
one wants to
expansion.
build a team around
More rule
rule
makers. You
makers,
heard it
sorry.
here, like members. Unanimously wanting more rule makers. There you go.
No, we don't want more rule makers.
We
It's
hate
a
more
lie.
people.
It's true. Ahura just solos Tanga Altar. Oh, I should have said Tanga Altar. Oh, I'm late. Heya, Ara. Oh, look,
Hello.
Ara, it's your #1 fan. So, hi, it's halftime. Some parts took longer. Beefcake Angel Man. Erbie, I thought you loved Ty/J. Homophobic Johnny Bravo. I think you need, like, sunglasses and the hairdo to say Johnny Bravo. I'm still mad they made him a blow unit and not a magic unit, with him having that staff. This unit looked fun. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Thanks for covering that.
He casts Fist.
Casts fist. He just like holds his cane with his one hand and then punches with the other. Alright, we will move on. Thank you for covering that, Milk. We are finally done with the units of this banner. However, we are not done this discussion because we are now going to be moving on to a non-banner unit that is a drop quest reward. This is going to be covered by Erbie. Go ahead.
Alright, everyone's favorite mob unit that no one cares about. The missing unit. That is also missing a functional kit. So basically this unit does not have rates above 40% outside of its pulling ability, which is amazing. This means that you're probably only going to use them to pull a column of enemies closer to him. He has two methods of pulling the units. At move phase end, he's going to pull one square at only 60%. And so, not the most reliable rates, but it's the second best rated rate skill that he has. And he can also pull when hitting the enemies at 100%. So that can be useful if you need a mob to pull enemies down, but we already have those. We have the deities and the wrestlers. So I'm not really sure this is going to be very useful. I think those are only when they're hit, so this one can be used to pull on the same turn you want to hit them. I guess that's their primary use. There are other parts of the kit, you're probably never going to see them happen outside of them being on the enemies, which they apply darkness at 30% to enemies that hit them, and they apply confusion at 40% to enemies that also hit them. So they require to get hit to apply these debuffs. And unfortunately, they don't even have any way to mitigate damage whatsoever. They also have a skill that allows them to steal HP from enemies and also steal CP from enemies. when they hit them, which will be really cool because they can actually steal a total of 50 CP from each enemy. But it's not that cool when you look at the 40% rates. Ideally, if these rates were higher, you could potentially CS spam with them indefinitely. Because on his CS, he has a slightly weaker version of this, and obviously this is going to always trigger. He also steals a bit of HP, and also steals a bit of CP from the enemies they hit. I forgot to say the range. They're both snipe range, but they're not going to be primarily used as damage dealers because they don't have any damage buffs whatsoever. Nothing increases their damage output in their kit outside confusion by a flat amount, which doesn't even count. And they're not going to be good tanks either, because they don't have any defenses outside the darkness, which requires them to get hit, so they're not going to get reduced damage until the second turn, after they already took full damage from an attack from that enemy, which is pretty shitty. Their primary use is, as already said, is going to be to pull units closer, and that's pretty much it. I wouldn't bother using them for anything else. No Smoky God strategies can save this kid. But I will say that one thing that is cool about these units is that they're free, and they're also the first mob units that can be Infinity Element and Null Element, so that's pretty neat, I guess. There's not really much to say here. Not a lot of pair-ups you want to do, except maybe use them with units with less range to bring them closer. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I have nothing else to say.
Thank you for covering the missing units. Yeah, I also think it's quite nice that they are these unique attributes. It's even rather restrictive to them, and I thought they'd never release these units. In fact, this is the first all-round unit, I'm pretty sure, for mob, and that sort of a attribute has existed since the beginning of the game.
It's still not obtainable though. The all-round one.
Well,
so
that's true. Hopefully. I'll read that later. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and give my thoughts first, since I let everyone go first before. I have no thoughts on this unit, besides they let you pull the units twice in immediately. It could be nice if there's a far range unit, but you have many other options for that. Well, I guess not too many options for a double pull immediately. What are your options for the double pulls anyways? It's like you need to either... Who?
Behemoth. Yeah, Behemoth.
Yeah, if you have Behemoth post-Evo. So that's nice, and it's guaranteed too. If you don't have Behemoth, that's like the only time you'll decide to use Behemoth.
There's also Dagon if you move them.
I forgot about that. Or Dagon, I guess. But yeah, as a mob, the double pull is a unique thing that most units can't do, even as pullers. They usually need an AR paired with it. And I completely neglected that point you brought up about how they can have their charge up infinitely. It's nice that these units are maxable, so that it's actually feasible to have it constantly up. And also, so they deal a tiny bit more peanut damage with their fully maxed artifact level. But you're probably not going to be getting much damage from them either way. That said, they probably won't have too much reduced damage since they have some pretty rare attributes on them. Yeah, that's pretty much all my thoughts. What do you think? Harvey?
These things are annoying to fight. Especially in swarms, because of that darkness and confusion just fucking up your attack stat and also your movement. Also, we should have gotten the bear mobs instead of this, but whatever.
Yeah, it's strange we got these mobs. I mean, I like both mobs, but it's not like the live streamer kits were any better, really.
They get all range on moving. It's poggers.
I don't even know if that's going to be the real kit.
I think it's gonna be okay, I believe.
Oh, we have Oscar now. Well, everyone else has Oscar. I still don't have Oscar 3. I feel like he's a real good unit, but we're not talking about him right now. Milk, Zalgus, add more.
Okay, you literally started your comments with, I have no thoughts.
You can say that too if you want, but I need to say at least one thing each. Even if it is
my thoughts are... Well, my thoughts are that... Since it's a mob, they technically belong to summoners like all the other mobs, but they're still shit. Maybe the Leonad Guild Affiliations tier buff will help them though. Not really.
Could be feasible with maximum affiliation buffs, but yeah. There's probably better choices at that point.
I sure do like their design. It's pretty cool. There you go.
Really? I mean, I like them, but the first time I talked to you about it, I thought you disliked them. I'm pretty sure you said you disliked them at first.
No, I like it actually, but I was mainly pointing out to you that it was funny how very clearly a extremely specific fetish.
Oh, you mean like jumpsuits or whatever?
Two actually, a bit more than.
And brainwashing, presumably.
Kind of. But probably not really what we should be talking about.
I mean, nightgowns are already kind of covered, but sure. Let's move on.
What else are we going to talk about? These units have nothing to talk about.
Yes, the content that we can say about them is missing. Alright. We will now be talking about the skill evolutions.
What about the comments?
Oh, right. The comments. We will now be saying... Sorry. Is there chat comments? Go ahead, Erbie. My bad.
The missing unit creepypasta. Looks like the artist somehow managed to get around the Peggy 12 anti-Nipplegate. Haha, funny faces, but don't know if that was intentional. Head hidden. Bolts seem to not count as nipples. Average mobs. How to slip your hypnosuit fetish into a game. An example. Ara, plug your ears in case you think this is a spoiler.
I shall plug my eyes.
Do I read this, Ara, or do I not?
You can read, I'll take off my headphones.
Also, I've mentioned this a few times, but no one has said anything about it. But with the new quest, the mob rates seem to be guaranteed each run for HP, but low, like normal for attack. I'm not sure about that. I know it's guaranteed for HP, but I wouldn't say they're low for attack. I've been getting almost every run too, so to the point there where I didn't even notice much difference. I think I only didn't get the mob in attack like only a few times. So I wouldn't say it's low, but yeah. I love hitting these idiotic units with Summer Shiva. That's the best thing I can say about them. Yes, you get a sweet, instead of a damage decrease, you get a damage increase. Amazing. Wow. The live streamers are cute. Make sure to scream it so Ara can hear the spoilers.
Shut the fuck up, Joe.
The only mob meta that matters is the Fencer mobs. Fencers arise. Honestly, probably would find more use in Fencers. Just kidding. The pool is useful, at least. These guys are cute too. Thick mod. No nipple though. I almost never get it on attack. Well, that sounds like a you problem, because I am getting them at least a lot. I think I'm already at the 20s this year or something. It's going pretty well. Yeah, that's it. There are no comments.
Okay, thank you for covering the chat. I also think these mobs are quite cute. I like their design and general theme in general. And I do think the color schemes for the new attributes are quite striking. We'll move on to, finally, the evolutions after 1.5 hours. We'll be talking about the second set first, since clickbait, the good stuff in the first set will be after. But we'll start off with the worst of the bunch, and so the one I picked so that no one else can shit talk it. Motosumi's Evo. So it's actually two separate evolutions that he got With that said, both of them together doesn't really save his utility, or rather, his relevance. He does have a more pronounced utility now, but it's still not a very good utility. So the changes, you can see the direct changes on the screen right now. So I'll just go ahead and directly mention them in the context of his new and modified roles. He is now an improved team CP builder. So he had already previously built CP a bit to his allies with his really shitty thrust range 6 CP to self and allies every time he attacked. It has been buffed somewhat because of the boost in CP to 10 CP, as well as having combo to self every time he idles, or whenever the movement phase ends, rather, at an 80% rate. So he can feasibly give up to 40 CP if he's hitting 2 units in a row to himself as well as to allies adjacent. Well, with that said, you don't really want his charge, his adamantine, at Sacred Artifact level 1. It's not great. And then the other two things is just very, very, very minor upgrades, and plus 1 new roll. So he can oppress units too now, and the combo helps him boost his rate a bit. So every unit he attacks, they get oppressed, as well as the enemies adjacent to them every time he attacks. That is definitely something. It exists. And his improved roles is in being a minor tank healer and a minor damage healer. And I don't mean he was a minor tank healer and a minor damage healer before, and then he became a better one after. I'm still saying he's still a minor tank healer and damage healer after. That's just how shitty these evos are. So he's a bit of a better healer now. He, as usual, he had Blessing on Fate Start. That was his one unique thing with this kit. Guaranteed Blessing himself and allies once square around on Fate Start. But now he is able to steal a bit of HP every time he attacks, 400 HP. And that also comes with combo, so he can be stealing up to 1600 HP if he manages to hit 2 units. Which is, unlikely because thrust range. And he also can heal adjacent allies every time he's buffed. He has a number of buff sources, such as Brawn and Guts on phase start, and Blessing as well. There's his combo every time movement phase ends. There's limit on turn start when he has less than 50% HP. Adamantine on charge, and Glint on self post move with his child Evo. None of these are great because some of them are kind of stringent conditions, such as limit only existing when he has less than 50% HP. That's gonna be harder, especially since he does heal himself a good amount. And he also, even if you do get those buffs going off, it's at a 50% rate only. So I don't know why the rate of healing is so low for when his buff sources are already so rare too, and so stringent. He's also a bit of an improved minor tank. So he gives... There's something weird about this effect, where he bestows to allies 50% reduction in blow damage specifically every time he is not moved. And this is kind of a new skill trigger timing, but not really. Essentially, the trigger timing of a movement phase end, that's just equal to after moving or after not moving. So I think this is just a bug because Life Wonders has never intentionally decided to include after not moving by itself. Every time they did, it was patched after. But yeah, it's what's up?
In the old wiki, it shows both. So
it shows both in the old wiki? Oh.
Yes.
Okay, that's weird. Well, anyway, it's a movement phase end condition then, presumably. It's not that great because just use tenacity or protection at that point. It's why would you want to, only reduce blow damage specifically and at not even strong rate? Maybe if it was Shakutin TR damage reduction, it would be significant, but it's not. It's just...
pairing with Licho.
Again, you can just use tenacity or protection at that point, but neither of which he has. He could have just had that and it would have been better. I don't know why it's restricted just blow range. when it's only 50%. And it's not even to selfie either. What the hell? But yeah, not very useful. Besides that, he also, again, has adamantine on self and allies on charge, which he can get his CP decently quick with his CP effects, but it'll just be most likely artifact level 1 adamantine. Not great, give me a 1.15 times multiplier or something like that. 1.1 or something. Well, I'm taking damage. It'd be like 0.95 rather. And he also has guts now on self and allies adjacent on phase start. So you might want to remember that effect, since the only other equivalent effect we have was like Islander or something, which Robinson and Tangaroa may have had or something. And it was not at a guaranteed rate, but this one is, so it's still only to adjacent, but it's better than nothing, I guess. And he also resists Trauma and Depression. So none of these are particularly good at being, you know, a main tanker or even a secondary tanker. It's just very, very minor tanking effects. Lastly, he's an improved minor damage dealer. So as usual, he has Brawn on phase start. And when he has a less than 50% HP, he has limit to self, which is 1, not guaranteed, and 2, you need less than 50% HP? Like, what? So you can't use it out of the box directly. And 3, he does a lot of healing to himself, so unless they're like one-shotting him immediately, then he's not gonna be able to, you know, get to that range ever. So he's kind of trash, honestly, even post-Evo. I don't usually say that up front, but it's like the only new role he got was being able to oppress units, and that's not incredible. Everything else is just being improvements on kind of whatever rules in the first place. The only unmodified thing about him is just his, you know, glint boosting his rate up a bit, but you know, boosting 50% up to 60% for the healing is still not incredible at all. So don't use him for team healing or tanking or damage dealing, like ever, despite that's what the entirety of his Evo is, because there's just always going to be better choices. Don't use him for repression, despite that being his only new role, just because there are better units for immobilizing users or enemies at a greater range, like so many others, like Gurmikala or just Oz was any fear unit, or literally just too much to count. So the only okay-ish use that he now has, but even then it's questionable, is you can pair him with his Summer Oz for some pretty okay lifesteal amounts and CP building. But you know, then he'll have his charge next turn, which is a very shitty charge. So yeah, that's it. That's all my thoughts on this unit. It's not great.
I thought you were going to say don't use him and then stop there.
Well, you know, it is my unit.
You shouldn't use him for.
I was listing at the things that, despite there's a bunch of new things in his new roles and improved roles, I listed down the rules that we just went through and how they're just unusable because there are better options. But the lifesteal and CP building is okay, just held back by that really shitty range.
I like that you said to use him with summer rolls, but whenever I think of that, on like trying to salvage these bad units, I think, well, you could do that, or you could just use summer rolls with someone who's better. But anyway, I'm going to preempt you and say I think the most useful part of this Evo is the fact that he's worth 2 stones now.
But you're holding that joke for a while. But yeah, I guess so. Everyone should have him just because it's such an old-ass unit and he was featured a few times. Well, maybe not as 4-star. But yeah, everyone should have him incidentally.
For new players, you should pick him up during anniversary for the Evo stones.
Harvey, that is a fantastic joke, but you're way too far from the mic. Like an itty-bitty mouse, I can't hear you.
Ah. I do think it's kind of cute that they're kind of like promoting this guild energy, since, you know, he has the will range resistance for Licho, and then the oppression bit to synergize with Gurmikala. Aside from that, yeah, this doesn't really change anything. He's still gonna be a pretty bad unit.
It's like exceptionally bad, this set of Evos. You'd think it'd be the better one because it's 2 of them, so they can rework this kit more. But now it didn't really touch it that much. I mean, the other double Evo we got with Ahab was actually quite good, with Ahab now being like the best on-hit team and self-healer. But this is just, what does this accomplish really? It doesn't accomplish nothing.
Now you can pretend that, you know, it's kind of cute because he has these synergy bits with like more people from his guild. Because if you looked at the guild page, the list of guilds, and you go to Gurus, you now see that he's actually the acting guild master now. So that's pretty cool.
Despite him never having interactions with his guild in the story thus far. But okay.
Well, when you get to chapter 14, I guess you'll see more of him. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Anyway.
Because guilds are like kind of a big thing going forward.
They are a big thing, but look at what you're synergizing here with. It's 50% damage on blow range only? What?
I mean, from a lore perspective, I think it's kind of cool. Even if
like
it's not super practical.
This is like the Desert Journey banner and Evos all over again. Except, you know, they actually have something usable on their base kits, and with the synergies being shit. This is just, you know, kind of whatever synergies with an otherwise shit kit as well. I don't call unit shit sorely very often, but, you know, I did my research for this. Wow. I divided this into roles to better understand it, and the roles are just not improved significantly to make it worth it. What the fuck?
Hey, I would use Motosumi over Tianzun.
Yes.
Really?
More utility.
Just because he has better synergy with specific units. Tianzun is just a really bad splash unit.
Motosumi has after buff heal at 50%. Wow.
Yeah, and he has CP gen.
Yeah. And he can be healed. He has guts to everyone.
Getting a migraine. You see Motosumi in that image right now? That's me. Okay. Did you have any thoughts, Milk?
Well, I was gonna bring up why you're so blasé about Motosumi when he does so much, like how you're saying for Tianzun, but I feel like we already spent a lot of time on Motosumi already, so I will bring it up for beyond that.
Okay, the thing is with Tianzun, he actually does, like, even if it's only okay, it's still like a valid, you know, main offensive or main defensive support function.
It's literally Ardor.
Like, he can't even do it by himself.
Ardor and weakness of 50%.
Okay, and what does Motosumi have here, huh? He has literally zero offensive support.
He doesn't need to move to do anything.
Oh my god. He doesn't do anything when he moves or doesn't move. That's the issue. Oh my god, I hate this.
He has an attack stat
he charges people. He has CP charging.
Oh my god.
He has guaranteed 40 CP to allies adjacent.
It's not guaranteed. What are you talking about?
It is guaranteed.
How often do you have two units directly ahead of each other like that? What the heck?
A lot.
A lot. Okay. Place closed. Motsumi's an amazing unit. Alright, we got this. Well, let's see if the chat agrees. I'm gonna go ahead and read the chat now. Let's see. Hey, guaranteed guts, almost on the verge of uselessness. Oh yeah, that's actually somewhat okay if you are expecting them to do a board wipe instantly. For example, if they have Christine or Oscar on the board or something, but, you know, only if it's like a tall map, since it's only to adjacent. I limit broke him just for the stones. Yeah, that's honestly the best thing you can do with him. At least he's cute and he'll always have that, so Motosumi go. Yeah. You know, I rarely see the babies turn into their, you know, adult forms like this. They actually look well designed, so it's a bit sad we don't get to see more of their transformed forms like this. It seems like very focused for Guru Synergy. He's a loving father. Low resistance for Licho, oppression for Gary McCullough. Are you just reading off of this directly, or was he just copying you? I can't even tell. He's cute, yep. See, the skill Evo is still trash. What's going on, my funders? Well, the positive is this is actually the worst set of Evos in this Evo batch, so it should only go uphill from here, even if the rest from this specific patch isn't super amazing as the previous one. They're still quite decent. Just this one is concentrated. They made it 50% to highlight the guild's 10% skill activation buff. How does that fix anything? It's like glint plus skill seeding plus the affiliation buff would still only bring that up to 80%. That's still not guaranteed.
Concentration and prayer.
Oh my god, no. No one has concentration or prayer in the gurus from what I can remember. Let's see. Our Tianzun needs...
Motosumi, or actually, does the RKR apply to self?
No.
Oh, okay. Someone else will have to equip the RKR.
Oh wait, yeah, it does. Sorry, I was thinking of regular arc. Yeah, it does.
Okay, he can get
90%
prayer then.
Wow. Just so you can make this. Just don't use this unit. Tianzun needs to move to do any of his bad support. Give it up. Well,
See,
the thing is, you compare
agrees.
Tianzun with... Hey, just because chat has an opinion doesn't mean they're right. I'm just saying. Tianzun compare well with secondary tanks like Loki, fairly well. Bring a primary tank and a secondary tank, and Motosumi will still be contributing next to nothing on top of that as another tank. What does he even do? I don't even know. And I covered this unit just 3 seconds ago. Let's just move on. We'll now be talking about Jacob. This will be covered by Zalgus.
Hello. Yes, let's go fast. So, I can summarize this as a Evo which exists, but so he gets extra guts and also prayer when he appears. The face star guts is sure, whatever. And prayer is of course always good for extra proc rate. It actually shores up some of his proc rates, his 80% break to 90%, so you can actually put in skill seed range. Or if you don't want to do that, it still makes his combo and his weakness guaranteed and his crit. So that's nice to have. And the main part of the Evo really is he gains a buff called Prayer Strengthening, which just gives him 2 times damage while holding Prayer. So a nice 6-turn buff, or 5 turns because it's when appearing, for as long as he's holding Prayer, and that is of course nice on its own. He also drains CP when he hits enemies. For some reason, it's only a 70% rate, or 80% with prayer. And it can drain a lot of CP, since he has combo, he can drain up to 40. So he can actually generate quite a bit of CP. Unfortunately, his turn start CP generation in his base kit is only 50%, which is ass, to be frank. I don't know why it's so terrible. Otherwise, he could actually charge up his CP somewhat fast. But besides that, he has... I'll talk about the CS weapon change last, actually, because I'll complain about that. But he also grants prayer to self and allies on move, adjacent at 90% rate. So this is our first instance of having refreshable prayer without having to resort to something like juggling buffs on Itzamna and Tangaroa Kanon. Prayer is a pretty rare buff. The only ways to get it onto allies right now is via Valentine's Arc, who just does it to the entire board when appearing, and Itzamna using the RKR, or I guess anyone with the RKR. And yeah, Arc cannot refresh it indefinitely. And Itzamna can, but he needs Tangaroa to juggle it back to him. So it is a rare buff to bestow, and it's a long-lasting proc rate up buff. So I think that's neat. It also means he can refresh his damage buff when it wears off. So that's nice too, I guess. But pardon me. But it's not. I don't think moving Jacob is really worth it. Is the problem. He doesn't have any other movement abilities besides the weapon change flush, which I'll talk about in a moment. So you'll really only be moving him for the prayer, which, I mean, I wouldn't really recommend it, but because it lasts so long, if you can afford the 1 turn to move him, then you'll at least get a lot of turns to use the prayer. And yeah, let's talk about the CS weapon change to thrust. So when he moves, he will also change his CS weapon to thrust, which I personally don't really see the point of this, because so his original range is blow, and changing it to thrust actually just kind of halves his damage. It goes from around 22k to 12k, but if you hit someone in thrust range, it also means they're not in range for Jacob's follow-up attack with combo anyway, so it's also missing out on the damage. So like, if you're trying to hit a single unit 2 squares away, he's going to miss them with his combo follow-up attack, so I don't think it's really worth it trying to hit an enemy far away with the thrust range. So yeah, honestly, I think the CS weapon change thrust is kind of useless. I guess if you hit 2 units, you can get a bigger heal or remove, or no, let's remove debuffs itself. Yeah, so it's really just for a bigger heal. But I wouldn't really say the CS weapon change thrust matters much anyway, because you have to move Jacob for it, and you have zero reason to move Jacob except to refresh the prayer or to apply it to someone else. So I doubt it'll really be that relevant. If you really want the thrust range for use, it's there, but again, yeah, I don't think you'll get much use out of it. Anyway, I think the Evo's kind of all over the place, but at the simplest, it's basically just a free long-lasting damage buff to Jacob, and so it's alright for that at least. And yeah, that's about it.
Alright, Milk, you're up.
Zalgus sounds like he's in a tornado. Like maybe that's just
do
me.
Just like vehicles passing by you or something, I think.
Oh, I should close the window, but then it'll be hot.
Okay, it's fine. I just thought it was like suddenly windy, and I was like deafening my headphones and whatever to see if it was the score call. I have Jacob, but I still haven't done the skill evo. It's not really like, it's not really any priority to make Jacob stronger in my opinion. I mean, I know I just said that covering Ahura Mazda, who was also like World of Blow, but yeah, I'm not really in like any need for any boss killers. And it's like nice that he got, you know, prayer strengthening, but
Okay, well, let me be straight
the
up
last
with
time
you
that
here.
I think these
Jacob is a terrible boss killer. Doing the damage check, even with prayer strengthening, it's kind of really sad. So with prayer strengthening, if he does his whiff hit combo with a regular attack, 63,000 damage. If that's double hit combo, that's 54,000. The highest he can do is just his charge blow, his blow charge rather, with hitting and then getting combo as well. And that's only at a maximum of 110,000 damage, which is, you know, Fushi can do more.
The appeals that he doesn't. I mean, the appeals that like he doesn't really like have buffs that much, so he can synergize well, in my opinion. But yeah, whatever. The numbers don't lie, I guess.
It's a very.
But yeah, I don't.
Rolling.
But yeah, I don't really have that much for a blow, much reason to use a blow unit, so it's just whatever. Like, I know I just said that with Ahura Mazda, but like, I just don't really see myself using Jacob more so recently. Maybe like a mid-boss killer might be a more appropriate label if that's less offensive.
Yeah, I don't think he's even a boss killer in any capacity to today's standards. He might as well just use a column clear and they can do more damage at that point. Without having to rely on getting their charge very slowly, since it's only just like stealing 20 CP, so if they don't even have that much, he's not going to get that much at a 70% rate.
The advantage here, as I said before, was that you can just put Lianan behind him and all the buffs will stack. There you go. It's a lot easier to choose than most of the other ones that already do have these innate buffs.
How's that? Why are you saying as if that's a good thing? It's like they already have all the buffs, so therefore, they're bad at synergizing. What does that even mean? That means they just deal more damage, and you can think of.
No, it means that his damage can be even higher than theirs because they don't. They already have the buffs, the common buffs. It
okay,
can't get much higher.
How's this? Ahura Mazda can also take a bunch of buffs, all of them from Liana too, by the way. So and. Deal even more than that, so.
Yes, but that is Ahura Mazda. For instance, someone like Amdusius, that's not quite the case.
Well, from Amdusius, you can pair him up with some other set of units that hasn't already got covered. There's plenty, Fushi and Kirito and all that. It's like so many alternatives now. It's not even a question of. They're not able to synergize anymore with units. It's just, you're more selective with who you synergize them. And at that point, you're really synergizing for, like, Jacob, just because you want to use him. And you have better choices straight out the box. I don't know. I thought it was okay until he did the numbers checks, and it got me thinking, Life Winners didn't do the numbers checks, because this is not impressive, even with 2 times damage.
I don't know. I think the fact that not having all the buffs is a very good advantage, as I've tried to stack buffs before and could never find the correct combo buffers to buff my units to levels where I needed them to be. So I think it's actually very important that a unit does not have the common buffs.
Is this the implicit Ben 10 side-eye?
Not really. I forgot she existed because she doesn't have a guild. Ha! There you go.
That aside,
until affiliations become a thing.
Affiliations won't save Jacob. It's his prayer isn't even to everyone. I feel like that would maybe make him okay, but he's just buffing his own damage with his prayer advantage, and he doesn't do that much damage in the first place. He could make an argument where evasion spam is damage, but again, he doesn't actually get his charge that fast.
Yeah, I would not move Jacob because he doesn't even have any movement expansion. Just kind of poo-poo.
Yeah. Maybe in the future when there's more people with prayer strengthening. That's not like Krisnik's where he actually becomes worse with prayer, but okay.
It gives him regen.
Also, his prayer range is like kind of shit.
Yeah. Okay, not great. Feel free to read out the chat. It's Zalgus.
Where were we? I should say. All of the bad gurus are going to be great for buffing the future guru unit that we get. That ends up being the strongest unit in the game. Doubt. They nerfed his CS from blow to thrust range, Sag. Yeah. Only if you move him, so unlikely to happen, also. Jacob is the only unit that can reapply prayer at the moment, right? Oh, thanks. Yeah, like I said, only Izam that can do that if he's paired with Tangaroa, Kanon Tangaroa to juggle it around. Possibly some other...
Tita!
Yes, Tita. Can What's-His-Face Christmas Sea Tree do it?
He steals buffs. He doesn't... Does he spread buffs? I think he does spread buffs.
I thought he did.
I don't know.
Christmas tree can spread buffs, yes.
Yeah, he probably
Okay,
could
so
do it,
to
yeah.
give Christmas nature for doing buffs. But yeah.
So he could also juggle it in theory, but yeah, in terms of like out of the box sense, yes, Jacob is the only one who can reapply prayer, which would be worth it if it was a larger range or gave everyone the damage buff or whatever. It has too much of an opportunity cost, if you ask me. I really wish Jacob had. I really wish I had Jacob, if nothing for other than that art. I agree. Don't pick on blind people, please. Jacob, crying emoji. Yeah, I like Jacob. unfortunately, now he's gotten a mediocre Evo, and also I didn't really like his Valentine Snowfight design. There is no winning for Japan.
I mean, 2 times damage is nice, it's just that his base damage was not that impressive. At least, you know, since he originally released, there's just been a huge power creep, and yeah, hasn't been able to keep up with it. So this Evo could have been good in principle if his base kit was good, but it wasn't. So 10 times dash buff, maybe. That would actually be plus killing damage at that point. Alright. That's it for Jacob. We'll now be moving on to Gabriel. So this will be covered by Harvey Keyes. Go ahead.
Alright. Gabe gets a pretty neat Evo here. So her old skill is basically just her getting extra horizontal movement, but now with her Evo she gets 1 more tile for horizontal movement. She also gets the ability to spread ardor to herself and allies in a 2 square diamond radius at an 80% rate. So that's the rate's kind of bad, but we'll get into that later. When appearing, she gives guts to herself and allies at the board, which is okay. And when attacking, she applies Charm at a 50% rate to hit units and the enemy behind her, them, which is also okay, I guess. You won't really use it for grinding, but eh. She also gives Charm Advantage to herself and allies, which is basically just a 2 times multiplier against Charm affected units. So it's still not going to be used for grinding still, but it's there. Turn start, every 3 turns she gets increased recovery to herself and allies with the entire board at 100% rate. So altogether, this is kind of a lot of new utility for her, where she used to be just kind of like a heal / charm bot, but now she actually does have, she's like a decent healer / offensive support via Charm Advantage and Ardor. And this is actually kind of important because the missionaries didn't really have a decent offensive buffer for this. I guess we had like Arcelon with 70% on vigor after move, but that's kinda doo-doo. Increased recovery is actually kind of neat for like these skirmishing quests because now she heals for a little bit over 1k HP after moving, because her 700 HP goes up to, yeah, it goes up to 1050 HP.
Yeah, 1050.
Doing math is hard right now. I'm kind of sleepy. She does kind of roll for charm twice, because she does like move. She has this after move charm and the slash thrust range. She also does it after when attacking, but they're both at 50% rate. You can use Smoky God again, but if you're using Gabriel, you're probably going to use her for like a mono guild team, just for the extra guild perks. And I guess like, yeah, there's not a whole lot that's added onto her, other than like she's better at skirmishing now. But yeah. The ARs for her haven't really. You'll still basically want like any decent welfare you can put on her, and I guess the Gabriel Nomad AR is pretty good on her. The one that increases her activation rate by 20%, just for that extra charm rate and ardor, I guess. But yeah, other than that, there's not a whole lot you can do with her other than like mono guild teams.
Okay. Is that it for her then?
Yeah. That's all the notes I have.
Alright. Zalgus, you're up.
I think the most intriguing thing is that she has unrestricted double horizontal movement. Easterfield in the bin. No, but yeah, I do think it really is neat that she has a completely unrestricted +2 movement horizontally. I think that's actually a neat thing that they should look into doing more as like a character design. And, you know, she can actually buff during it as well. So I think she's a decent unit now. She has a high mobility and can actually do a decent damage amp with both Ardor and Charm, although the rates are shaky on Charm, but the Ardor is high enough at least, but unfortunately it's not 100 or 90 at least, but whatever.
Guild affiliations. Yeah, the errors here.
I try not to think about that because they are prohibitively expensive to invest in.
Just invest it all in missionaries, obviously.
She already has free lens every place.
Yeah, that's true. As long as you skill seeder,
it's to herself
for the first few turns.
So it's 90% realistically.
The Evo synergy.
But yeah, I also think that the best part of this skill evolution is the increased horizontal movement by 2. I think it's really great, and I think it's good in combination with the guts effect, because it allows you to reposition your whole team together, potentially on the very first turn. And even if things don't go right because you had to move a unit, or you had to move someone else to make your strategy work, or you weren't able to quick fingers the whole board and get everyone into place together, you still have the fail-safe guts to help you at least reach the second turn and get everyone into the position that you need to literally kill everyone. I think it's a neat fail-safe mechanism, and that she's now a pretty safe, easy-to-use unit, especially if you don't know what you're doing. You just pick her up, just try to move her around the board and get everyone on the same place in large boards, and no one's going to die because everyone gets guts. And you can potentially get a cool team formation right on the second turn, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, you do have a point with how beginner-friendly she is. Because even if you do fail and like your team almost dies, you do have guts to back you up, and you also have the increased recovery to maybe heal back up.
Yes. I think she's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think she's actually quite good. She's that was a good point you brought up with the horizontal movement and guts. But as a thought adjacent to that, we've had a lot of units that made board wiping and large maps a lot more possible between board-wide damage emperors and all-range units and all that jazz. But we didn't, for the longest time, really have any ways to go the tanky side for these larger maps. Every time you went for a tanky setup on a large map, there was always that one awkward turn. You would slowly move one side of the units to the other and re-roll to, if you have to, so that they actually spawn close to each other. But in this case, you don't have to do either because of Gabriel able to work in that sort of tanky setup by ferrying units across it and just shrugging off that first hit because of guts to everyone instantly. So that works quite synergistically on Tanka defensive support setup. She will have to take a lot of her moving, or a lot of the moves herself, but I feel like it's worth it because a bit over 1,000 healing is nothing to scoff at. Especially if you're pairing it, or rather you really should be pairing it with units that can tank idly, so those that don't really need to move. Those are still somewhat rare, but as we discussed, there was Loki recently who can act as a bit of a tank that doesn't need to move. Besides that, there's actually more direct defensive buff tanks, such as Husha, if you decide not to actually move him. If you remember, he actually does act as a tank. And there's also Simo with his apparently, I forgot this, he had like protection to like 3 times 3 blocks out of him every time the movement phase ends. There's also Isaac, although you can't move him, and what's coming up is also Ganglie, who is quite strong as a tank, which we'll talk about eventually. But yeah, just pair her up with someone like that and she'll be quite strong. Although, since her enhanced healing is not just to herself, you may also want to bring a secondary healer too. That also doesn't need to move, such as Ahab or Wakan Tanka's Fashionista variant when they're at 100 CP. But yeah, besides that, you may also want to pair her with some charm inflectors if you want to take advantage of that charm effect. And units that can maintain or spread it, such as Tsukiyomi's Kabukicho Night Festival variant, or Gomon, or Jurong. Things like that.
You know who applies charm now?
Yes, we'll get to
Alp
that.
with his Skeevo.
Honestly, there is a surprising amount of synergy between all the Evos in this set. Minus Motosumi, but yeah.
Wow.
I'm not the only one who sees it, right? Like, you guys can't all be Motosumi Solidarity and, like, Tianzun Hate Club. What the fuck is this?
I still think Motosumi is better than Tianzun.
How? He has 2 defense
So, yeah.
buffs, and then Motosumi has only blow 50%.
I mean, I don't think that, but I think Motosumi is ass. But I also don't think Tianzun is that great. But I don't think he's as bad as Motosumi, just because he can actually, buff the team, and Motosumi does nothing.
Exactly. He's
a bad damage dealer.
And I never said Tianzun was great. I was just saying he was good to okay. Jeez.
Motosumi has double his attack stat, so you can use him to do damage and kill things.
That's also true.
Yeah, so when
And also, he's not immune to all healing buffs.
Well, I guess you won't be bringing Motosumi for his face start healing, since it's such a busted skill. Tianzun's missing out, you know? Okay, Milk. What do you think? Hiding in the corner there.
Gabriel. Actually, I just kind of think I probably still won't use her at all, even with the extended horizontal movement. Mainly because it's just fucking Ardor again. It's not like I hate Ardor, it's just like, I kind of think that she just falls into the trap of like, remember like Soth's 5's skill evolution where you can move everyone?
And then no one used them
like,
after.
Still, basically, like, no one uses them. Yeah, it's basically like that.
You know, there was one time I used them.
In
I used them in one time for anticipation for that, what's it called, the Kabukicho Night Festival. Well, yeah, and then it turned out everyone had it. I was like, oh, okay, never mind then.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like Ardor, it's also like Charm, which some enemies might be immune to. Even then, the Charm is at, like, kind of, is a, like, sub 100% rates. It's just like, am I really going to use Gabriel? Probably not. I mean, like, I do agree that the +2 horizontal movement is good, but I feel like some of the pre-existing options, like Sonda Yu and Easterfield, might have been just like okay. So yeah, not too excited for Gabriel.
Well, that's only if you're looking at her in the lens of like an offensive support. I like, you can play with her as that, but I like Harvey's point of the fact that she's the only one missionaries who could really decently do it now. That's an important point if guild affiliations become more and more important in the future, but we will see. But yeah, I was more looking at her in a positive light because I wasn't looking towards her offensive capabilities, but rather her tanking capabilities, since her heal is respectable and she amplifies everyone's healings and it's guaranteed, so that's very nice to everyone. Generous and actually will make increased recovery actually useful for once, unlike every other instance it's existed and been overly too restrictive. Okay, if that's it for, I was about to say Bayonetta for some reason, for Gabriel, then you can read out the comments.
She's the opposite of Bayonetta.
Kind of, yeah. Harvey, go ahead and read the comments. I have no idea why I was not saying Bayonetta.
Is Gabe finally good? Depends on how you look at it, I guess. No, she's still mid. Just give her another variant at this point. Did her variant ever get a Skeevo?
Yes. She did. It was like Berserk plus
But
a high rate or something.
Plus,
Oh, awesome. Oh yeah, the lovesick plus and cuck plus.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I actually do use her whenever missionaries get featured, since she's an OP damage dealer at that point.
Okay.
I can hear the disagreement, but okay.
Do the missionaries really don't have that many DPS units? Or is your roster just that bad?
Xmas Choji.
Stop.
Oh my
God. No.
They have.
You have regular Zabania.
No, stress
We
rate.
have Gnarl.
With
We have
his
Gnarl for
like
madness advantage.
50% madness or something. Or this. Oh my god. He technically
And I
counts,
guess-
but. God.
And I guess Jacob, Valentine's Jacob, if you have him.
Yeah. It's Valentine's Jacob meta. The must have missionary unit. If you had to get a missionary.
The bar is on the floor for this build, huh?
Yeah.
It's so sad.
I mean, their tanking's pretty good, but. Yeah, offensive's kind of in the garbage.
Considering Hati and Lucifuge are still waiting for their alts, that's unlikely. Okay, so funny thing about those two units is that they're both star pudding units, and that man recently kind of had a meltdown over foreigners. So I don't know if we'll get alts for those two, but
Oh.
yeah,
They
we can
pulled
talk about that
the
later
Gamma
on the
then?
stream.
Even though Gamma.
I
did not-
Literally.
Gaijins.
He's literally homophobic. Gamma. It's kind of funny, but yeah, I'll talk about that later.
Damn guy.
I don't have her, so
Okay.
Most missionaries focus on healing and taking, so yeah.
I mean, they're okay
Well-
at it. With between Ashanisa Zabania and with Gabriel now. But yeah, tanking is trash.
I have
so.
copium. I have copium that when we'll get a variant that's focused on DPS, and he'll save the guild. But
Hopefully with Dune Kami or Grimacall. Grimacall is missionaries, right?
He's both.
yeah,
Gurus and
he's Gurus
missionaries.
and missionaries.
Question mark. I'll just have to find out
But
what gets
yeah.
translated.
When Kamui DPS variant Hopium game. I think the Skivo makes pulling Gabriel less disappointing than pulling Gabriel.
So what about Lave Evo, huh?
It's been like
we could talk about that after Alf because I think that's a better time to do it.
Yeah.
fucking 4 years.
It's
And
just
still no
so
Skivo in
funny.
sight.
I don't know. Like everyone sims over Lave, but now more and more every day that passes, it feels like if you like Lave, you can put on those clown shoes now.
God, I remember that you said that Lave stands don't care about gameplay and pull only for art. And then you have like Horkyu Kamui stands and they're fucking busted ass owns and variants. And it's just like, yeah, sure, whatever, I guess.
The thing is,
Also,
just
his
because they're
story
making,
variant is decent
Yeah.
too.
I think that's the whole
Yeah.
point.
All
though,
of
right?
companies are very good.
Yeah, they didn't need to
Whatever.
give him his Evo for his base, but for his variant, I mean, they gave him a good kit because they were just making good kits in general back then, and they made money because they released yet another Horkio variant. So, the other Evo is inexplicable though. So it's nice to have. All right, well, we can move on from Gabriel. We'll now be talking about Alp. Go ahead. This will be covered by Milk, I believe. Yes, Milk. Good.
Yeah. So we have 5 Evos left. So I'm gonna just say that Alp's Evo is kind of trash. That's about it. They buffed his charm rate to 50%. That's okay. It's still like not 100%, but whatever. 50% charm is pretty high, actually. He now gives confusion to the hit units as well. It's 90%, which is pretty good since he has glint to himself when he attacks. That's also not guaranteed, but whatever. He gets this weird taunt strengthening. It's not like Douche's taunt strengthening or his like I think his Halloween variant also had some sort of taunt strengthening.
Yeah, the stackable one.
Yeah, it's neither of those. Yeah, it's neither of those. It's this like 75. It's 75% def up, or like 0.75. So it's a very minor defense increase.
Yeah, and that's like the nourishment equivalent for defense.
Yeah. And then he also has the nourishment depth down to enemies with confusion weakening onto the entire board. That one's 100%. So yeah, all in all, he's still kind of trash. Like, I mean,
no.
If you want to like meme with him, like, you can like, you have a higher charm rate, and you might be able to like disable enemies more. The other part is that his effects are actually kind of long now because he has confusion and all his debuffs are more consistent. So with his all range from his CS, it's just kind of okay. His CS hasn't changed at all, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, the damage is not really great, but nobody's been using Alp for damage really. And do people really care about this like nourishment depth down from confusion weakening? I don't really think so. So yeah,
Some
it's
of
just
Big
trash.
Bunyan does.
Real.
Okay, there's your 1.5.
I think he
Imagine-
he cares more about how Alp can refresh it across the entire board.
Yeah, it's about how you can apply it for Glide. And imagine the Summer Ostrat with Summer Babe Bunyan. Now you have double all range units.
That actually does make sense. I think that it actually validly makes Babe Bunyan now a board wiper if you bring Alpha for whatever reason. A bit of a setup though, as is with everything with Alp.
I still think you could just bring like Kirito or whatever. But yeah, sure, whatever.
It's
Ooh, we hate Kirito.
Yeah, I don't like Kirito either, but I don't really want to think about trying to fit in Summer Oz with Alp either.
You know, I gave you Alp because he made that stupid video of doing board wide charm with Alp after doing a million stringent conditions, and you could only get him up to 90% at that point too. So
yeah, combo with Smoky God.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's kind of fun, but I'm not gonna like tell people that he's great now, because after trying him, it's just kind of like meh, really like meh. When we've had all these like busted units recently. And there's also like Ganglie on the same Skivo banner, so yeah, can't really like sell confusion and confusion weakening.
Well, I have a seeded Alp, so he has guaranteed confusion. So I might sandbox with him a bit after half stam ends because Blossom grinding has made a chokehold.
He gives a lot of debuffs, so if you can rate up all of them, which you probably will if you're trying to, guarantee charm, you could probably use a unit like Kirito or Volos or Alice, this is a Halloween variant, to take advantage of those debuffs.
Yeah, I would have liked like some sort of global rate up to him for like his Dazzle being 30%. I guess it doesn't matter if it's Kirito, but whatever.
Yeah, I find it bizarre that Dazzle is at a lower rate than Charm here. It's just very off-putting at 3%. Maybe you should have received a double Evo too. But yeah, you're probably not gonna ever use Alp besides upgrading your mean milk. So I do think it's somewhat synergistic, I guess, between his all range and confusion now. Since he's always been kind of like an enemy movement manipulator, whether it was because of his pull or his taunt, and now he has one more thing that sort of forces your AI to act a bit differently, which is confusion.
Oh yeah, he's in the Beast Tamers with Hastur to apply his madness. So if you get confusion and
the synergy, love it. Like the brain is expanding. Honestly, that's not a bad choice if you're actually going all in Beast Tamers. What's up?
Yeah, I guess I should comment on affiliations for Alp. Yeah, since he's Beast Tamers, he is eligible to get Your Linan 11.75 buff with max Peacetaker's affiliation bonus. So yeah, there you go. There's your all range nuke.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah,
He would be the most obvious choice for it.
and also the fact that you can dip into the CP when appearing thing for guild perks, and then you can get a CS off on turn 1. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, but then you have
You stretch
to
with the
invest away from
80%.
damage and from the... What were the 4 different things again? It was like...
It was damage, more damage,
like that.
CP, and skill rate.
Yeah, it's like he actually needs the damage and more damage and more skill rate as well, so... Investing in CP, and when you can only choose 3 in total, that's probably not like...
Oh yeah, now that we're talking about Alp, I can complain. I think it's bullshit that...
Closer to the mic, by the way. What's bullshit?
Sorry. I messed with the game by accident. Yeah, I think it's bullshit that Alp got an Evo and Lab did not get an Evo.
Don't you
as the
mean
representative
everyone
of
in the
Beast
Nightmare Banner
Tamers.
got an Evo?
Yes, yes. I think it was funny that in the Nightmare Banner, the 2 worst banners, or 2 worst units on Banner who really needed help, Lab and Alp, got no Evos, and now Alp got an Evo, but Lab didn't get an Evo, even though Alp wasn't even part of the Beast Tamers from the start, and Lab is quite central to the Beast Tamers and is actually important.
But Zalgus, Lab is already busted. It's like, can't buff him
And
anymore.
also, I unironically think Lab is, what at base is worse than Alp, because Lab does nothing. I mean, they're both bad, but I think Lab is worse, and I think he's worse if not only for the fact that he is notorious. He's notorious enough that if someone asks who do you think the worst 5-star is, people will say Lab almost every
God,
time.
right. Gabe got an Evo too, so now he's actually the worst 5-star in the game.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think even before they got the skill evolution, she was still better.
Yeah, but it was like...
He could have
kinda
maybe made an
argue
argument at that point, but yeah, Gabriel was better back then too. But you know, Lab's already busted, guys. He doesn't need an Evo. Just leave him alone. We don't need another Shiva incident here.
But yeah, I don't really have any thoughts on the Evo.
Okay,
It is a funny meme.
let's move
This
on.
is the mean character.
You can read out the chat now, Mook.
Okay. Let's see what everybody loves to say about Alp. I think it's Hey Yo. Valentina, be good VP. Okay. thank
Yeah,
you
also
for that.
closer to the mic, please.
Oh, right. I'm not really even that far away, but okay. Oh, right. I completely forgot Alp and Ganglie got Skivos. Yeah, there's a bunch of Skivos that are in my list that I still have to do. Guaranteed Charm was Smoky Pog. Yeah. That's nice. Yo-Yo Panda. I'd say that after they buff his Dazzle rate, he'll be quite good for tanking.
They didn't buff his dazzle rate though, so... Okay.
Yeah, I still don't really think that I would say like 1 debuff is good for tanking. Because if you look at this taunt strengthening thing, it's 0.75x multiplier, and you also have to move for this taunt. So I would not say it would be good for tanking even if it was 100%. If you don't have Kirito, which is pretty realistic. Yeah. Everybody favorite Rapping Panda. They should have given him a better charm and give him evasion, or a higher dazzle rate. I don't even know how you would fix Alp's Kit, to be honest. So I'm not going to comment on that. Lab cannot be skill sealed. Clearly he's too good for buffs. Thank you for that. That's it.
Okay.
Halloween as a thought.
We are now going to be moving on to the final Evo of this specific match, but not the final Evo in general. This is going to be Gangways, and hopefully Erbie will do it justice. I think it's quite good. But we'll see. So Erbie, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
So basically, Ganglie got a skill evolution.
You sound a bit muffled. Are you like... Could you get closer to the mic or something? And I've been repeating this like an asshole, but it's important so you're audible over the music too.
Is it better now?
A bit better, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Ganglie got a skill evolution to his Gorman skill. It now heals double on face start, which is not really that important, but oh well. What's really important is that he now applies protection on miss to himself and allies on a big 2-square diamond radius around himself. And it's 90%, so that's pretty good. He already applied defense up on face start, 1 square around himself. So he now has potentially 2 defensive buffs that are practically guaranteed. Well, skill seed bait. Defense up is guaranteed, but protection is almost guaranteed. You can easily guarantee that protection too because it's on miss, so you can still apply on move glint or on the worst case scenario and guarantee it anyways. So this is pretty good because he doesn't need to move to get his entire team 2 defense buffs, including himself, which Tianzun cannot do. And yeah, that's pretty good. I think this is actually the first time we have such a good defensive unit that isn't Bale.
Like a 5-star.
4-star permanent.
Yeah, as a 4-star, it's quite good.
Yeah, he also gained a heal to allies around himself. 1000 heal, so he also has that added utility, and also charm resistance to allies on the entire board on face start. This is situational, but it's actually really good. The fact that it's on entire board is really neat. You have to remember this is a 4-star permanent unit that is from like 2017 or something like that. So this is pretty. This is a Ganglie is now probably the best defensive 4-star permanent unit right now because of this. He has heals, he has a lot of defensive utility, he has debuff nullification, even though it's only 70%, it's still there. He also has some minor charging utility every face start. He has pretty much everything. He also gained a when hit drain effect at 80%, but that's not really important. You're not ever going to want him to hit enemies. He doesn't have anything. What?
Isn't it after he said?
Oh right, it's before he's being hit. Never mind. I read this wrong this entire time. What's with this wording? But yeah, it's not important. It's drain.
I mean, honestly,
it doesn't matter.
The 1K strain would be useful is if you're doing a tankier setup, so it actually does synergize, I think.
It's drain. It's not going to matter at most of the times. Especially since
it definitely won't matter in offensive setups, but in tanky setups, it might over several turns.
For the CP drain.
Yeah.
No, it won't. Drain and obstructs are never going to be useful in tanky setups, in my opinion at least.
Drain's the minus proc rate thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
You can reduce a few
the CP
crits or
reduction
something
is
like
only
that from it.
at the end of their turn, so it really does not matter in the end. Because even if they get drained, it doesn't matter because they're already hitting you.
Again, as a tank, it'll most likely go for several turns, so the subsequent turns it could be helpful. Expected as a tank setup. I'm not saying it's useful, I'm just saying it's more useful in this context than it would have been in an offensive setup.
It could have been useful on an offensive setup. Think of the drain advantage.
No.
Buff that they could add.
Does anyone even have drain advantage? What the fuck?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No.
Probably not. Probably not. But yeah, that's pretty much it. He doesn't do a lot new outside of the charm resistance and the added layer of protection. So yeah, pick Ganglie if you want to do a very slow defensive team. There you go.
Okay.
There are actually a few units with drain advantage besides the obvious Volos and Kirito. There is Aegir, all the Night Gaunts, and Heracles 5 Summer Pool Twilight. They all have, or Aegir has 1.5, Night Gaunts 2.5, Heracles 2, and there's also Nea.
Thanks, Zalgus.
I mean, it's easy enough, so.
There you go, the synergy is right over here.
Don't synergize those drain plays, but I'm just saying it's there. It's like it actually do something.
Actually, drain can be like sort of useful if you pair him with Gurngach, because all ranged units get not that much CP for hitting you, so the CP reduction might matter there.
Oh, that's true.
For stalling.
So like you could actually just deny their charge and
The
definitely
big
doing
brain play.
Oh, they're not gonna get that much CP anyways.
Big brain situational play.
Oh yeah, it does something, okay? It does nothing offensively, but over several turns and tanks it up, Drain will stop a crit here, deny a charge there, and... Why are we talking about the Drain part for so long? Alright.
That's what I was.
You brought it up!
Wait, I was supposed to be one and done. I don't know what those
You're
like
the one
arguments...
who pushed that, Ara.
Okay, Drain meta's here. Sure. Yeah, everything else is quite good. It's really ridiculous how he can do 2 different defense buffs when you need to move someone like a 5-star like Snow to do that, who's traditionally known as a strong tank unit. And he doesn't even need to be moved, Ganglie, so, like, what's up with that? His only weak points is, like...
He's so cool.
He is cool, isn't he? Actually, I was talking about this with Zalgus earlier, but... he's probably not cool in the lore, which is accurate because he gives all his allies charm resistance. I was thinking, is that because he's just that off-putting that everyone else is uncharmed by him? That would be funny. But yeah, I think he does actually lack in healing despite his phase start heals. I've never been a fan of phase start heals since most of your healing will be mid-phase that you'd want. So, bring him with other units, including units that could move to heal, such as Gabriel. We just talked about her. There's also Ellie's, could be your Night Festival variant, and Ahab again. Man, Ahab's really good. And Ryota, who can heal allies every time he has someone. You may also want some complementing damage mitigators to make it even more excessive how much defense he offers between Kodagane with his Evo, his regular version, that is, with Unction. There's also Motosumi who gives Adamantine, I believe, and Bind. So, consider those options, perhaps. Yeah, he is definitely up there as one of the strongest tank units in the game right now, I would say. Especially given his 4-star nature.
From a lore perspective, I do kind of like the dichotomy between him and Gabriel's kits, because Gabriel has like this charm advantage for her allies, and Ganglie has this charm resistance now.
Oh,
so
yeah, that's some weird ass synergy.
And also, if the gurus and the missionaries are implied to be like allies now in the story.
That is true.
That happens though.
I wonder if they interact in chapter 14. Well, I'll have to see. But yeah, is this the hidden ship? Ganglie and Gabriel in the back stage.
God, no.
Putting little piggies in her.
Don't say that.
Okay, sorry. We're getting off sidetracked here. Everyone gave their thoughts, right? Including Milk, if you like.
Technically, I didn't, but I don't want this stream to go over 3 hours as it's expected to be.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
refrain from commenting other than that Ganglie is really strong, and I didn't care about the Drain discussion.
This will be a good test stream. This is our first 5-man stream, and that's as long as it can get at this point. So use this as a reference point if you feel like you want to opt out of stream, given that the more people join, the longer it'll go on. But for now, this will work as a good litmus test or comparison point. But alright, let's just move on then. We're now going to be talking about Kirito, the first unit of
We're
the
not
first
gonna read the
batch.
comments, okay.
Oh wait, did you want to read the comments? I keep on forgetting. Read them out quickly. Sorry.
I don't remember where we were, but
Blade cannot be skill sealed.
okay. This skill's name became such a huge joke in the JP fandom. Okay, maybe you could say why, but you don't.
It's pigs having tea, or something like that. Or pigs wanting tea, rather.
I don't get it, but sure. Even Jiro drew art over it. There's drain advantage AR, I think, but nah. Pigs wanting tea. Oh, here it is. I'll give you some tea, my king. What do you mean no offensive? Look at that spirit buff. Oh yeah, he does have spirit at a 90% rate. Wow! I already thought it was really hot, and I still think that, like them. And this little piggy went all the way home. This little piggy is a little better.
Everyone's really hooked on that term little piggy after I mentioned it.
Look at what you did. This is your fault.
You're welcome. Ganglie deserves it more. I'll take his little piggies. Anyways, moving on. We're going to be talking about the first set of Evos. The better set of Evos, even though some of the ones from the ones we talked about are quite good. But yeah, Kirito. This will be covered by Harvey Keyes. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Kirito got an undeserved Evo, and now he is plaguing every single Blossom team. So, he now is able to spread weakness in White Slash range after he moves. You will never move him, still. But I guess it's okay if you're doing those meme solo clear Kirito videos for certain HDQs. The big kicker now is that he applies Dazzle at phase start to the entire enemy board, and also Dazzle Weakening, which is a 3 times multiplier against Dazzle affected units. So he basically turns into a mini Fushi, except in some areas he's actually stronger than Fushi because Kirito does not need to be at the bottom of the map to apply it to the entire board. And Kirito can also do damage if he needed to in slash range. So this is kind of important because now you can slot him in as a support for that 3 times multiplier, and because he's part of the Genociders, he can equip the Blossom booster AR as well. He also has skill lock at slash thrust range. It's okay. It will rarely matter, but if he's at the front, you can have him attack and he'll do more damage with his debuff advantages. But yeah, other than that, he just I kind of don't like this Evo because it just kind of turns him into like this mini solo unit into like this party advantage unit just for no fucking reason, which is kind of stupid. And now he's on like every guiding team.
He deserved.
But yeah.
But also, you know, it doesn't take away his solo utility. He can still do that too.
It doesn't, but he does. And I just mean like he didn't need to also buff your party or debuff enemies like this. That could have been like something for another unit to have. But whatever. Yeah, that's all my thoughts on this unit.
Okay, yeah, straightforward. Have I let Erbie go first in a while? I can't remember. Erbie, you can go first.
Sure. This skill evolution only exists because of the Dazzle advantage. No one will use Kirito for anything else other than that, and that is it. That is all I have to say. The Dazzle weakening, rather. I feel like they added an extra point of utility to Kirito and just made all these lines of text, all his entire kit redundant because no one will use the rest of the kit. They'll just use the Dazzle weakening because it's the only thing that matters. And I think it's kind of a shame, but
it doesn't remove his original utility. Jeez, he can still do everything before it. He's just useful in grind quests.
His original utility has become completely overshadowed because Dazzle Weakening can be used for all content. And the original utility, not really. So yeah, there we go. That's my thoughts on it.
The way you're describing it, it's just like, oh, damn, he's a dirty grind unit now. He's useless in my heart. Just like...
No, that's not what I mean at all. I mean, they just kind of ruined his niche by just giving him a new one. Like, no one will look at his old niche anymore.
I mean,
who is going to use Kirito for the rest of his kit? I dare you to find me someone that will use him for the original kit, starting since the moment he got his skill evolution.
Where's Harvey used
probably someone in this.
Yeah, Harvey used him.
Not me. I already used him for his old kit. I'm not gonna do it again.
Yeah, that's the thing. Honestly, I didn't even realize he was a solo carry after I first looked him up until Harvey did it. So, you know, Kirito being a solo carry is still very possible. Kind of like a Kenko in a sense, except he works in slash range. So he could be good for...
What the heck? That's what I... That was the whole thing that I said about him when we did the original.
Okay, I doubted, okay, but I needed to see to believe. Yeah.
Like, the whole point was that he had, like, some ridiculous high evasion.
Yeah, it was, but I just doubted. I was a non-believer until I saw Harvey. So forgive me, I'm a heathen. But yeah, none of that is taken away from this, so... I think people will remember Kirito more strongly now because of his ability for grinding with Blossom Booster. But honestly, he's still a solid pick for beginner players and even intermediate players and maybe even certain expert players for high difficulty quests if you just want a solo carry for them. For certain quests, of course.
I do think it's funny that they went so far as to give him a 3x damage multiplier. Like, they're usually so conservative with these sorts of things.
Well, 5 stars.
I would expect it to be tell that to Dead.
No, not Dead.
I would expect 2x damage at most, but just 3x board wide.
What?
3 times, like what?
It's so stupid. Why is it 3x multiplier? Like, you have Valentine Yoritomo, and his multiplier is like 2.5 for magic range units, and that's like limited to magic range units too. For Kirito, it's just like for everyone. It's just kind of dumb.
It's Kirito's cool. Now people will use them. Also, let's be real.
No, people will use it just attack and do nothing.
I feel like it was also motivated as a financial decision because all these amazing Evos are on limited units that ran only for a week, so yeah, it's very clear within.
Where's Bigfoot's Evo?
Skill evolution.
I'm sorry, but Bigfoot is
Bigfoot needed one more than Kirito.
Bigfoot is channeling Lab right now. People only keep on playing him because he saw it.
That'll be the bait for the rerun.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, I don't think they'll do any Evos for Lab's actual variants release, but we already had Nigerian reran, so we'll just have to wait for some sort of campaign for it. Maybe the date quest or something. We'll see. I think we build on enough for Kirito. A strong Evo, but also simple. So you are free to read out the chat. Harvey, go ahead.
Alright. Why he has 3 different sources of Dazzle? Don't make difficult questions. Is it actually 3?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, it's after moving too. God. What the hell? Stabby Boy, wish I had him. I wish I had him too, and the same way I wish I had Fushi, just because board-wide damage ampers are nice to have. Very clear favoritism. I wonder if they took so long to release Kirito because of entertainers and whatnot. Because I don't think like any entertainers had a variant so far.
Yeah, now that you mention it. Yeah, you're probably right, Mac.
Yeah. From solo stab to party stab.
Alright, I'm looking forward to his role in the story. But yeah, thanks for covering the chat, Harvey. We'll move on because it's 3 hours is unavoidable at this point, but let's not make it 4 hours. Tangaroa Mugen, this will be covered by Erbie, so go ahead.
Okay, so basically, this is kind of like Kirito's skill evolution, but not really. Tangaroa and Mugen's spread debuffs on first start, but got its rates significantly upped since before. The closer one raised from 60 to 80%. So now it's skill save bait if you're unlucky with the debuffs you get from phase start, but guaranteed if you get all the debuffs from phase start. The second line of spread debuffs increased from 30% to 60%. That's double the percentage. And if you got all the debuffs, you get now 90% to spread all those debuffs to the units on the second line in front of Tangaroa. And the third line has increased from 10% to 40%, which is 4 times more than before. And also makes it so it's a 70% rate to spread his debuffs. At first, this didn't look like a very good skill evolution because it just increased chances that he's going to spread his debuffs. But he also got a dazzle advantage too, just like Kirito. Wow! So he got an advantage buff to himself and all allies on the entire board when he appears for all the debuffs that he applies to himself. So basically it's dazzle advantage, stigma advantage, and obstruct advantage, and each one counts as 1.5 times multiplier. This is really great, and eventually it amounts for more than 3 times multiplier, although just barely. But it's still pretty nice, even though he's still very unlikely to apply all these debuffs to the whole board. The fact that he already pulls all the units close to him already makes it easier to spread these debuffs. This also makes it so that he's also significantly buffing the damage of his teammates if he manages to eventually spread all these debuffs. And it also makes him deal a lot more damage. I believe he now deals about 30k damage per square just by himself, without any sort of attack buffs, and just with these advantages and stigma exploitation, without even factoring the fact that he's Infernal Element. So that's pretty neat. These advantages synergize really well with units that already have increased advantage against these statuses, just like Beach Volos, and if you want to pair it with Halloween Alice, sure, why not? Or even Kirito that we just talked about, even though you get kind of a redundant effect because he already applies Dazzle anyways. But still, it's pretty solid. I will say that this rate increase does allow for more consistent strategies using Tangaroa Mugen, or Infinity, whatever you want to call him, because his rates are a lot better now. Especially if you take into account, if you just give him Glint or something like that, or use the affiliations, or have him skill seeded, he is going to spread all his debuffs to at least the 2 closest lines of enemies. And since he already pulls them down, it's going to potentially be the whole board. Without saying any more, I'd say this is a pretty solid skill evolution, especially since because of this skill evolution exists, I'm actually using him on my farming quests, along with another unit I think pairs kind of well with him, which is Israfil, surprisingly, because he always has this sort of weakness that when he starts on a big, you want to use him on a big board or a horizontal board, but he's never going to be able to reach because he's never going to be able to spread his debuffs to the whole long slash range of his, because he will always start in one of the corners. But I think by pairing him up with a unit such as Israfil that already spreads on a 3x3 radius, the Stigma at least, boosts him a lot, because it's Stigma, it already reduces defense, and he already has Stigma advantage, so it's kind of like double dipping, and at least you don't lose out as much damage when you pair him like that on the first turn. So I think this has a lot of potential, but it's definitely a lot more situational than Kirito, and we'll need a bit more of working around this.
I can't believe
I'd say it's still pretty solid.
I can't believe Israfil being shit is no longer a valid meme. You're no longer allowed to say Isra shit.
No. Well, yeah, I'm not allowed, since I'm actually using it now, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, for grind quests.
Erbie has a pretty meme team.
This is so bizarre, though, if you think about it. I want to see it.
Yeah, Erbie's awesome team.
Yeah, I would never expect
really
either Israfil or Tangaroa Mugen for a grind quest, but there you go, apparently.
Did you expect Halloween Kresnik too?
I think I saw that in your thumbnail. I was like, what the fuck are all these beam units? What? That's incredible. I want to see it, but I'll have to wait.
Lead show in the pack.
That's a legitimate thing you're grinding with.
The
That's
meme
funny.
unit farm quest, embrace it.
See, I would have never expected in a million years, if you asked me last year, that fucking status spreaders between Tangaroa and Wakan Mugen would ever be relevant in grind quests, but here we are. That is insane what has happened with these evos.
It is what it is. Life Wonders is really keen on making these limited units actually good, but only after they already released, because they must release at least a little bit shitty.
Like the Shiva originally.
And
Also not Bigfoot.
Oh, Bigfoot doesn't count. He's not real. He didn't get a skill evolution because you can't see him. That's it. He's invisible. He's not real.
And like Skiva's side, Tanga's debuff strengthening is actually pretty clutch in farm quest, because we're fighting more units that respond with debuffs after they're hit. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that all my percentages with the debuffs were taking into account the debuff strengthening skill activation rates. Because I was saying, oh, it's skill seed range when it only says 80%. Well, if anyone was confused still, that's why. I was talking like that.
Wait, is it not guaranteed for your setup?
It is, because I have them skill seeded.
Oh,
That's pretty much what.
the guild affiliations
That's
or
pretty much
the
why.
invaders. I don't know that right.
The problem, his stigma and obstruct application to himself, with that makes it non-guaranteed. Because if these two debuffs were guaranteed, then everything else was guaranteed in the strategy.
Yeah. So I guess you only need the first 2 rows to guarantee it then. Okay. Yeah, it's guaranteeable at that point for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a good unit to have all around as a massive damage amp unit, although you apparently need a utility unit like Israfil to get them in position. It's around almost 8 times damage for everyone, provided Stigma and Stigma advantage and obstruct advantage and all that is up. So pretty good, for sure.
Yeah.
These guys are truly the new Shiva era. We're no longer allowed to say that Shiva is the only one with a busted debuff. Did he say anything, Milk? I know you didn't because you want to get this over quickly. But
I mean, I really didn't think Mugen Tanga needed an Evo, and there were actually a bunch of Mugen Tanga farming teams on like Twitter for Chapter 13.
oh god, I want to see them all, but
actually a real surprise. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
have the links because it's like some Japanese guy, but like, and the teams are also like really fucking crazy because you needed like Jay Shear and a bunch of other shit. Yeah.
Wow, these
I
teams
think
sound
I
really
also
fun.
used an
I saw
encrypted
the Halloween Alice in there too. It was crazy.
I forget. It was like really weird, and this was like pre, like Evo. So
I don't know how, but
Because
by
it feels
releasing
like-
these busted evos, they sort of improve the health of the diversity of teams. That sounds really funny. Halloween Alice? Halloween
I mean-
Kresnik? The fuck are these units Israel?
no, Halloween Alice was before this Evo, so this is
I
like
see.
Yeah.
it's really crazy. Yeah. So like yeah.
Also, Halloween Kresnik is just a meme added by me. I could have replaced it,
Okay,
but
okay.
it's too funny.
Okay.
Well,
You can
I
enjoy
could
looking
have
at your eye
potentially
candy for
used
once.
Krampus, Yangshi probably, and it was also worked, but Halloween Kresnik is funny.
My festival lead show is not negotiable, so he's staying in there.
You can even put Leech Show edit.
The
Wow,
festival
the
show.
diversity of these teams sound really fun. I'm sure that's helped a bit by the guild affiliation, so for some of them at least.
no,
I don't use guild affiliations.
Whoa!
I'm
I have to use.
abstaining.
I'm not using guild affiliations either, so I have to use Onsen Horkyu for my farming team.
Like you coming
Yeah,
to.
I'm only using for the HP one, but the attack one, I'm not using it because I'm not affiliated with any of the units. So unfortunately, I cannot use them.
So I take it you all enjoy the attack
Need more
quest then.
guild contract.
So-
What?
I take it you all enjoy team
I do
building for this,
enjoy how
yeah.
the attack quest. Yeah, the attack quest killed off Shiva strats, so now I get to actually use my brain.
Oh man, I can't believe I've waited a year to see everyone's, but it sounds very exciting.
You can still use Shiva strats. I just don't want to put in the extra effort to make it work.
Shiva's
that's pretty
actually
much it.
suboptimal here. That's what I mean.
No, it's not.
What are you
optimal
knowing? Isn't that what you
anymore.
wanted all this time?
Yes, but also no.
Someone
I
needs
had
to
the
check
team
priorities.
build for the first time ever.
Mentors when they have to
This
think.
is the best thing ever! You actually have Erbie being forced to team build. That's amazing. Sorry, this is just very relieving to actually have this diversity and enthusiasm for team building. So I'm happy that you guys are all having fun with it.
I'm not having fun. I haven't made a 100% setup yet. I mean, I'm getting my setup, so I'm close enough that I don't care. But yeah, it did require actually a fair bit of thought to try and get semi-reliable setups. So yeah, I think they're nice.
Unfortunately, I have none of those meme units between Kresnik and Horkeo Kami and Tangaroa, so we'll see if I can manage the team or not in a year. I think we talked enough about this, and we can talk more about the attack quest after once we cover Wakan. But feel free to read out the chat now, Erbie.
From solo stab to party stab. Have we covered Wakan move-in yet? No, we didn't.
It's
I
coming.
stepped out for a bit. Nope. Personally, my favorite buff. Definitely because I don't have Wakan. But seriously, it is a pretty good buff. It makes him Smoky compatible after seeding. Honestly, I think Smoky God is very overkill. If you're using Tangaroa Mugen, he already has. What's important in his kit is already above 50%. You don't need Smoky God if you're using Tangaroa.
Yeah, you
Don't
can
worry about it.
you can guarantee it was even a third row with like just a couple more rate up things, and you have options for that.
Yeah, these rates are very deceptive if you look them only at first glance. Especially if you're just looking at his kit and just say, oh, these 60%, 40%, they're not real. He gets increased. They get increased by each debuff he has. Okay. Nice skill evolution for Mugenroa fixes his biggest problems with unreliable debuff spreading and not really having any native damage buff beyond applying stigma. Yeah, this definitely helped out in his damage department and damage buffing department, and also reliability. Reliability was his weakest point in my
my opinion, so that's nice. On the other hand, he's ZZZ because you have to sit through all his debuff spread. It is true, it is slow in that regard. Tentacle Grandpa. What do you mean, Grandpa? I'm not seeing it, I'm sorry.
He's like,
I think it's something Destroyer or something.
Well, he definitely looks not older than 40, so I would not call him Grandpa.
I feel like that's a bit of a neg since he definitely looks much younger than 40, but okay.
I'm being generous here.
Okay.
I like pairing him with Hester, much synergy, but then I wish there are more units with HP loss reversal. Team building. I just want to use 6 units for everything and call it a day. Gays see gray hair and go, oh my god, Gilf. Yeah, I don't get it. Like, people keep calling Aegir Grandpa. What do you mean, Grandpa? What Grandpa looks like that? I'm sorry, I don't see it. Just because he has white hair.
The one that
He's gatekeeping the DILF and GILF community.
Yes.
not every grandpa has gray hair, you know. There can be young grandpas too. Kind of looks like the kind of grandpa that plays golf and
Young grandpas at the age of 20.
Well,
what do you
that's
mean?
technically possible,
White
I
hair
guess.
does not mean grandpa. I'm sorry. It's not synonymous. But
Also,
yeah.
regarding HP loss reversal, you can use Oscar 3. Because he has that after moving.
Oh, I forgot he actually still has that there. Okay, let's just move on. Sorry, Milk. I don't know why you wanted under 3 hours when it was obviously going to be over, but hopefully none of you were being kept from something more important. Let's just move on to the final topic. Wakan, Tanka, Mugen. I did save this one for last for obvious reasons, but Milk can elaborate. So you are free to close off the stream with this topic. So go ahead.
Why are we closing off the stream when we still have affiliations to talk about?
I mean, you know what I mean.
Yes.
The final topic. Then there's, of course, going to be the conclusion thing. I'm not going to cut it off. Bye, everyone, once you're done walking.
Yeah.
Just go. Jeez.
Okay, so let's see. What happens that they approved on with Wakan, Tanka, Mugen? Well, the first thing that is good is that they gave him a guaranteed brawn when appearing. So now, with his buff spread, he's both spreading attack up and brawn if he spreads the buffs. And in fact, they changed his buff spread range to himself and allies on the entire board. It's weird that it says to himself, but it doesn't actually mean anything. But basically, he spreads to allies on the entire board. But unfortunately, it's still at an 80% rate. The second thing is that they actually changed his remove debuff part so that it doesn't apply to enemies anymore. So that's kind of a weird thing, but whatever. I never really saw much use for it. So yeah, if you're trying to do that, like Bushi, Mugen, Wakan, Tanka to remove obstruct, that doesn't happen anymore. So that's too bad for you. The next thing is that before hitting enemies, he applies concentration to himself. So now Mugen Wakan can be both a brawn buffer and now a concentration buffer. This concentration is only at 60% rate, so it's not guaranteed. But it's before hitting, so it's rather consistent. If he hits more than one enemy. And he also can apply possession to the enemies he hits and those left and right of him. It's a decently high rate of 50% for possession. This is a really good skill evolution for Mugen Wakan because he now can potentially give up to 3 offensive buffs, attack up, brawn, and concentration. And since it's all to the entire board, you don't really have to worry about positioning. And if you calculate the multiplier for just brawn and attack up, think the multiplier is like, I'll just calculate it right now.
It's probably like a bit
It's
over
like
5.
5.06. Yeah, it's 5.06. So if you compare that to like Fushien, was it Kirito? That's 5 is graded 4 and 3 respectively.
Thank you
The
for
other
that
thing
math.
that's nice about this skill evolution, well, we've had bad math on the stream before.
Hey, no! No, not the
Well,
math.
And the nice thing about Mugen Wakan's selection of buffs, attack up, brawn, and concentration, is that these are all decently rare buffs to bestow onto other allies. I think there's been a resurgence in concentration with like Christmas Nomad and the like, but brawn is still pretty rare. Attack up, I think, is still pretty rare, and these are all compatible with Linan. So Mugen Wakan now becomes a very meta farming unit, and he can also equip the Tycoon's AR. So if you're optimizing for rank EXP and coin, then Mugen Wakan might be your choice of support for farming. The main flaw still is that his spread buffs is at an 80% rate, so it'd be good if you could skill seed him and use affiliations for invaders to buff that to 100% if you don't use something like the Kool-Aid Glint AR. And finally, the last thing is that Smoky God's Super Glint status, the plus 50%, is actually a removable buff. So a very common pairing is to pair Mugen Wakan with Smoky God, so that you can spread that Super Glint status across the entire board, and everybody will get the Super Glint status. I think it's pretty neat with like Summer Oz, so that you don't have to worry about the CP conditional part. But your creativity is the limit to how you want to use that Super Glint board wide status. But yeah, really fun unit. And right, the last thing is that Mugen Wakan is also an extremely strong sniper now, because he has like 3 offensive buffs and has his like distance status damage dealing. So I think I could like casually do like over 100k with him. So that's kind of crazy. Yeah, pretty happy about the skill evo. Unfortunately, the turn start spread is not 100% even with skill seeding, so that's kind of womp womp, but
I feel like
there's ways to fix that.
you should just permanently tether him to Smoky God in every setup now, since it guarantees also his buff
then you're
spread too.
losing a slot.
You get nourishment too, which he can spread, and super glint, and also he guarantees concentration too.
Nourishment.
And then you'll get 60% as well because of concentration afterwards. It's actually so fucking stacked if you pair it with Smoky God. I feel like it's a good evo, really good evo, yes, by itself, but like with Smoky God, it just trivializes so much. It's ridiculous. A plus 60% rate plus like a 11 or greater than 11 times the multiplier, all guaranteed. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. And you know, that's not even counting nourishment as well. It would be like over like almost 20 times multiplier on just 2 units board wide.
Yeah, so that pair is really good if you have like an all rage unit like Summer Shiva. He actually synergizes with all the buffs given, and that's what I've been using for my Chapter 13 HP Blossom team. The only problem with using him as a farming unit, if I didn't say it already, is that he's super slow due to the buff spread.
Who do you think is slower, Wakan or Tangaroa?
It's
I don't have
Tangaroa.
Tangaroa, so I don't really know.
It's Tangaroa because you have more enemies than allies, so it eventually is slower.
It's okay, Erbie. You get to play with your favorite and your funniest meme units for longer while listening to good music.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to listen to Shinagawa, right? That's fine.
Actually, I prefer this chapter's music than the last one, so it's fine.
The music from Chapter 13 sucks, but all 4 of the new music from Chapter 14 was like greatly enjoyable. So no matter what it turns out to be,
I think
all kind of fun.
I still think Ping from Calamity is the best soundtrack from both chapters, but to each their own.
You mean the HP Blossom one?
HP Blossom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's pretty good. It's just
I think I've had to rank them. It'd be like the Chapter 13 prologue would be at the top, and then fucking the Ravages of Geometry would be at the bottom.
maybe we'll do something like that as a tier list stream. We'll get to that thing eventually one day. But a music one sounds like a good idea. Anyway, does everyone say their piece on this itinerary? Does Zalgus do?
I didn't say anything because I was busy trying to attack something in my room, but no. Yeah, it's obviously a very good skill Evo. Unfortunately, I do not own him, and I have yet to test him myself in like a support slot, because unfortunately he cannot equip the any of the booster ARs. So I have no reason to use him in the support slot, unfortunately.
I feel like
which sucks.
All these set very good, and no matter how many times I hear that, I still think it's an understatement. This is actually just straight up better than the Shiva Evo, I think, especially when paired with.
What do you mean this is better? This is a Shiva Evo.
It's way better than that. What the fuck? It's so ridiculous.
No, you can use him with Shiva now.
It means you can use it with Summer Shiva, and you'll get all the buffs from it.
You can also use Kirito and Tangaroa, and we got a tease, but like, goddamn.
There you go. This is the Summer Shiva skill evolution.
But yeah.
But unfortunately, you cannot equip the Babylon AR, so I don't have him, so I can't use that strategy.
What do you even have equipped on? Do you have like all Blossom boosters? Since I know you have 2 Infernal units already with you.
I actually have all Blossom boosters now because I think it's actually worth it for the Chapter 14 ones.
Obviously, it's worth it. So you actually got the PSP ones. I guess that means your... Yeah, I can see it. So your support and Kryznik's probably equipping the Blossom boosters, and someone in the back is probably equipping the 3rd one. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I think we talked enough about this unit, but I cannot emphasize enough, if you haven't seen it, Smoky God. It's guaranteed. Guaranteed shit is amazing. I might actually consider skill seeding fucking Smoky God after this too, just so I can get guaranteed nourishment as well. Not that it's necessary at that point whatsoever.
No.
I think you get more mileage if you just like skill seeded Ruby Wakan and then dipped into the affiliation skill rate thing, just for to guarantee his turn start buffs without Smoky.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably skill seed both, honestly. But it sounds like a pretty expensive investment for invaders. I'm still not decided who will do it for. Suffice to say, I'll try to figure out a setup that doesn't require affiliation buffs.
I think everyone knows that invaders are like the guild to invest in other than warmongers if you have Shiva.
It's,
like,
you know,
if you're talking purely gameplay.
They're definitely living up to their names now,
both
the invaders and the warmongers, as the true guilds.
I think it might be rule makers when they drop the eventual busted rule makers unit who synergizes with Summer Oz.
I'm hoping it's only fair at this point.
Like,
It'll probably be Amaterasu.
They're gonna make them shit on release and then give them a Skibo like a year later. So we have a bit of time for that.
Like, you can expect the Ahura Mazda skill evolution in 1 year, and suddenly he's going to become a border wiper for some reason.
I actually don't think that's true, just because Ahura Mazda is not limited. I think it's just limited FOMO. Like,
oh yeah, you're right. Damn it. Oh well, I tried. We have to wait for the next limited units for Chapter 15 prologue at the end of this year.
I just hope that...
Beowolf, so the Game Masters will be next.
No!
Beowolf is not
Beowolf
real.
Skibo.
Oh my god, that is likely to happen. Now
Wait.
I think about it.
What was the other? Oh no, it's going to be Huster's skill evolution up too.
I mean, he's already okay, but not as board wiper on turn 1.
Didn't Haster technically get like a hotfix match?
Hotfix that
Oh,
ruins
never mind.
his
Huster can't have a
synergy.
skill evolution because Israfil didn't get one. There you go.
Oh,
New semester limiteds don't count.
that's true. Okay, you are free to read out the chat now, Milk Cosmo. Mr. Milker.
Okay. Best Buffalo Boy Depressed Edition. But yeah, I'm glad that he's more than competent offensively now. He's a solid team buffer now. It's funny that I can use him in a Summer Oz comp with Fashionista Wakan.
Oh god.
Yeah,
Nothing.
auto buffs synergize.
Wasn't his main problem, Wakan, just his crit wasn't guaranteed or guaranteeable? And now it's Smoky God. Actually,
Yeah, his crit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, his crit was 60%. I actually used this comp. It's just super slow because, you know, Fashionista Wakan has his own, like, what do we call it now? Before hitting effects. So yeah.
Before
I mean,
being
it's still
attacked.
good, but-
Yeah, I guess.
No, before hitting.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the protection and crit stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mugen Wakan finally matching Otohime in strength. I'm so proud. I think it's actually more. I didn't actually like look at the numbers or like do calculations, but I think he's like one of the strongest snipe units in the game. Probably the strongest, to be honest. Can't believe they give everything to Walter. Meanwhile, OG Wakan stays guildless and poor. Original Wakan is still fun, but yeah, it's kind of like what's up with that. About why he's guildless. OG Wakan still has a good evo at least. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Glad to be free of ravages of geometry. Yeah.
Sadly,
I
I'll
called
be stuck in
Tangaroa
geometry
Mugen.
for a while.
I called Tangaroa Mugen Grandpa because Tangaroa is being controlled by the original Tangaroa, that is both a name and title. That gets passed on, so he's Grandpa there. We watched that, Ara.
Yeah, in this story, you can plug your ears Zalgus since you didn't read it yet.
That's fair.
It's just
That's fair,
vaguely,
but
they somewhat hinted, but I
also-
didn't really fully see it, that it wasn't the same Tangaroa and there's an ancestor or something like that. It was a bit confusing.
That's fair, but also I don't consider that valid grandpas. I'm sorry. I'm gatekeeping the word forever.
It's like Harvey and Bears
it's
all over
just
again.
like I don't consider. It's just like I don't consider the 5,000-year-old lolly dragon girls as adults in Fire Emblem games. Sorry, it's not going to happen. But yeah, that's it. I have nothing else to say.
Okay.
Comment.
Mike and Ami will be on the prologue or the new semester, I wonder.
I hope
Yeah,
so.
maybe this year.
I feel like they're the new
Like-
Kirito. They've been shown for so long and somehow they still don't have an actual unit.
I kind of felt like, what was it, 2020? People were like, oh yeah, for sure, it's gonna be Michael or Amaterasu. But then it was like
Like in
okay.
Mattress.
But it was like 2020 when it was like, okay, for sure it's Michael, it's Amaterasu now. And it's like, no. And where are we at? Like 2023? Jesus Christ.
They decided to bunk a room with Kirito and Gay Baby Jill, and then Kirito had enough of their shit and left.
I think people were also predicting them for like chapter 14, so that was kind of funny. Love his heart, so now I'm glad this altered good. All these skivos seem so cool. Can't wait to hear your guys' input on Bigfoot. Yeah, that would be nice.
So sad. Does he know?
Oh no.
Yes, does he know?
Who's gonna tell him? That's the comment.
That's so sad.
TLDR, Bull is now Bull and he usable. 2 Shadow the Hedgehog Club members. I think anything related to Sonic has to be applied to Sphinx. Sorry about that. There is no Bigfoot skill evo, as there is no Santa Claus. OG Wakan is why Yo-Yogi team clears works. Yep, he's pretty fun. There is no Easter Bunny, there is no Santa Claus, and there is no Bigfoot skill evo. I got spoiled by the story. I haven't been able to read it yet.
Oh, I said you could plug your
So
ears.
Aura about. Well, maybe this is revenge for being spoiled about the chapter 14.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's
and then
the
just like
comeback from
dropped
the
it and
help channel.
looked at them.
Even though we pinned a message that said, "Go to spoilers if it's about chapter 14," but whatever.
Yeah.
So Aura, about chapter 14, I have something to tell you. This is from your number one fan, Zoe. The Skivo actually improved him a lot.
Wow. Thanks for that. Okay. All right, we are finally done talking about all the content. This is the longest stream I've ever gone. 3 hours and 30 minutes so far, and we're not quite done yet. So, overall, what did you all think about the Chapter 14 campaign, the new chapter units, the Evos, and the Chapter Blossom Quest, and the Guild Affiliations? And that plushy banner that happened too, I guess.
Guild Affiliations broke the game.
You say that, but
That's
it
it.
seems like you're having fun with it, even if it's broken.
Yeah, but
don't
I
think-
wish I could affiliate with not the Warmongers and still get cool teams. Unfortunately, that's not the
This
case.
is like you
I'm
drinking
not
your
gonna
own
say-
poison and complaining it's killing you, but you still keep on drinking it. No, I don't want
I
Shiva's
need to
strats.
drink it,
Bust
Ara.
back Shiva and his secret art.
Erbie
No,
is a
Shiva's-
thirsty boy.
I have to.
You're
What
doing
else
this
am
to
I gonna
yourself.
use?
No one is
It's not
forcing
like-
you.
yeah. What units do I have? All my seeded units don't have guilds, or almost all of them.
It's time
can't
to
do
work on the
anything about
invaders
it.
for the Tangaroa strats.
I have to invest on Warmongers. There's nothing. I don't have. I didn't even have a lot of invaders. I only have like Perrin and.
Now you know
Tangaroa.
how I felt several times during grind quests, like early chapter 13 and 12 grinding for me were kind of miserable, just because, well, chapter 12 rather than 11, because I didn't have any of the good units, and you kept on just saying, just use Shiva. Well, guess what? The tables have turned, mister. Now you're forced to stick with
I'm
Shiva.
still using Shiva
because
so
you're stuck
yes,
with
it
them
still
because you
works,
have no
but-
units, so yeah, that's on you.
I mean, I could still use a lot of strategies because I still have a lot of units, but I just don't have them seeded
Yeah.
for what I want. Which is the big problem.
It just feels like I've
most of the teachers don't.
I
have
finally brought
guilds.
down Dear
How am I
Icarus
gonna-
from
how
the
am I
sky
gonna use
soaring.
them, Ara? How am I
just-
going to use Christmas Dead now? He does not have an affiliation.
I don't know. Hope for non-guild affiliation upgrades eventually. I'm looking forward to it for Jiron,
Oh.
of course, but we'll see.
Oh right, there's actually something funny about affiliations that I think probably doesn't get brought up a lot. If you remember in the data mine, there's actually 5 buffs. And there's only 4 now. The one that was cut was the expanded movement expansion. I
Oh
think.
yeah, that's right. I didn't mention that.
Oh.
I forgot about that. Though.
That was kind of a strange thing that they cut it. So maybe that thing's going to appear in like the non-guild affiliations, like Benton's Benton. But I wonder what happened to that. Like if they just thought it was like way too overpowered, even though
I mean, yes, it
basically
was
gave-
way too overpowered.
Maybe.
even though they basically just gave like everybody like free Lean and buff potentially with.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
the thing about the
0.75x
movement expansion
multiplier.
thing is that I don't really know how that would scale unlike every other one. I mean, you don't really need extend movement beyond turn 1, really, or 2. So having like
I guess
10 different
I'll
levels
just
would
make
be
a
bizarre.
percentage based thing and like have it scale by duration and that'll be it. Just like how they did with the.
It wouldn't even be worth
thing.
investing beyond like 3 levels for that. So I feel
They could just make it a proc rate, like 20% when moving to have increased movement.
that
There
sounds
you go.
awful. You have to move them to find out if it works. What the fuck? That's something like a
Yes.
debuff. No, what the? That's trash.
That's why you should have maxed it. So
No,
it's 100%.
no, that's awful. Also, Hidden Wall, thank you
that-
very much for the $50. Thanks for the stream. Make sure to share this, Ara. No excuses, Venmo, and etc. So, yeah, of course. Thank you. But yeah, guild affiliations are pretty
Is
fun.
there any reason that the movement expansion can't just be a single level?
It can be. it's just like, it wouldn't really fit in thematically with everything else. So it was already in the game, so I feel like they will add it eventually. It's not like they made it just to remove it immediately after. It seems like wasted effort. So it might be a thing where it's part of a non-guild affiliations stuff. That'd be nice to have as a specific guild upgrade too. Sorry, I sneezed this time. My bad. But yeah, we don't really have a guild specific effect, so that could mean you as one of them.
Yeah, I haven't been doing any affiliations because I'm saving until we get currency from event shops and whatnot, just to see how much I should invest from.
You asked me what I was gonna do just to copy my strategy. I see how this. Yeah, I'm saving mine too.
What?
Remember, what are you gonna do?
What's the best for saving from the start? That's just the smart thing to do.
Okay, maybe it's just Erbie, who's can't get enough of Shiba's dick despite him saying he wants off.
But yeah. Even though the gurus have 2 of my faves in that, I'll probably invest in Beast Tamers just because I like the guild from a base level. And also they have some pretty funny units like Caster and Alp now.
Completely lore-wise, yeah, I get that. Beast Tamers is logical. You can have Yuma and Alp from that. Do you even like Alp? I don't know. He's Skull's Eaten, I'm pretty sure.
Alp's cute, I like him. But yeah, it's mostly utility seating for him and Nomad and level seats.
And also the Gurus eventually.
I think the Gurus are cool, but I think I like their school more than the actual guild.
Yeah. I'll probably choose the Sunrise or Tycoons, just strictly speaking out of how much I like them in destroying the characters in them, for obvious reasons. There's no guild for Jurong, so we'll just have to wait for that. As for practicality-wise, I don't know. Sunrise still seems maybe practical, and I'll just... I'm never gonna use it for practicality unless I absolutely can't get quests otherwise. Sorry, what?
Jurong had a guild, I'm pretty sure he did.
His Christmas variant supposedly had a guild with the Wanderers, but I don't know anything about that. His base kit does not.
Oh, it's just a variant.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I'm gonna invest in the Loser Guild. The one with Sphinx and Israfil.
The Israfil and Sonic Guild. It's great.
Honestly, you'd probably get more mileage of it than investing in the Wiseman Guild, to be honest.
It's just 3 people in the Wiseman right now.
Just you wait until the cold Shuichi variant comes back from the grave.
No. It's never going to happen.
I actually saw that some of the Yoyoki students, like Gunzo and Kuma, were put in a guild with that stupid, forgettable It's the long way. So maybe they're gonna make a new guild for that.
Oh yeah,
why do they
other
keep
guilds
trying
exist.
to make him relevant? Yeah.
Which character?
That'll
Sorry.
be interesting.
Also,
Ishibara.
Gandharva is alone in his one mysterious guild, doing fuck all.
As he should.
Doesn't Ben 10 have their own guild too? That's just not announced yet.
Ben 10 is with Beowolf.
Oh,
It's not real.
that's bizarre.
But yeah, he's in that strange, almost as strange as Sphinx and Israfil.
Nothing can top that up. Okay, if that's all our thoughts, what do you guys, for those that read it, what were your impressions of Chapter 14 and the camping and stuff, I guess? Everyone can answer that second part. No spoilers, please, though.
Well, for Chapter 14, I still don't really understand what happened, but it seems kind of cool. There are some people who are very happy about it, and due to some certain resurgences in fan art. The Blossom quests are pretty nice because they're like 4 times faster than Chapter 13.
Oh, thank God.
So, and they also give like rank EXP.
Yeah,
and by
they
faster, I
also-
mean like just the fact that they give tier 2 and tier 3, so it's like 4 times faster than your drops. And it's like there's like potentially up to 2 tier 2 blossoms too. So plus 16 is your potential max for blossoms for these quests. So yeah, that's pretty nice. And there's no like shitty lizards spamming their on leave effects, so
Yeah, that was probably a huge mistake to add on something like a grindable. Don't know what they were thinking.
and yeah, I've been getting a bunch of rank EXP since it's slightly higher.
Oh no,
And now I'm ranked 121.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
can't catch up with you at
Almost
this
to
rate.
my goal of 122.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
catch up to you eventually. I'm like the second highest, most likely, besides some people not among us right now. But
Among Us.
Not say that.
my bad. Okay, it's probably feasible to reach 130 at this rate with the new guild EXP as well as just a lot of grinding. So we'll see you then in 1 year, I guess. But yeah,
Well, you could always use stones for stamina.
that's
For real.
sorry, but I don't have brain damage like Joe does. Okay, maybe not
Yeah.
a good place to be calling out people like that.
I've been enjoying the grind quests a bit. I wish we got the Blossom ones a bit earlier, so we didn't have to like try to put it all into this one weekend. But
All right,
Yeah,
doesn't it end
that's
today
what
or
they
something?
didn't delay.
The grind halves then. Make sure everyone grinds up for this.
Tuesday.
tomorrow/Tuesday.
Yeah, I think it's
But yeah,
tomorrow.
it's kind of scuffed that we have to squeeze in all that grinding.
It was
Yeah,
completely
yeah,
expected,
yeah.
honestly. I mean, what do you think?
It
They're
was,
just
but like,
Yeah, sorry, you guys had to go through that. And are still going through it for some of
they
you.
could have did it on. They could have dropped the attack one on Tuesday. Come on, come on.
Maybe. Okay, I think... Actually, Zalgus, Erbie, any thoughts, or should I just close off the stream now?
I mean, I haven't read the story, so I can't have any
Thoughts on the
that.
campaign itself? Anything like that?
The campaign. I mean,
Banners, anything?
I don't really care for the banner that much. I pulled the Beowolf because I do kind of like him, and also he's limited. But I didn't get anything particularly interesting, so nothing there. And I do like the Blossom quests just because they are shorter, and it really feels like the rate of gain is so much faster. Like I can actually feel like that. There's a reason for me actually grinding them, and or it's not a painfully slow process anymore. So that's nice, I guess.
It's like chapter 14 has been therapy for everyone after an entire year of miserable, shitty music and super slow grinds with like all Shiva teams in chapter 13.
Yeah, fucking Shinagawa is actual torture. I don't know how I endured it for so long.
I mean, I don't mind the music, but
Chapter 13 grinding is dead.
It's
The healing
fun.
begins now. Erbie, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Campaign/banner
What
thoughts?
is it? I think the chapter was okay from the bits I read and tried to understand from translation. I really didn't care much for the banner units outside of Tianzun, which I didn't care
I didn't.
but got 2 Ahura Mazdas for some reason. So, okay, sure, why not? I also like the new Blossom quest, but I have to actually look at my screen now to farm attack blossoms, and that's a really big problem. I have to use my brain. I have to actually move the units across the whole board with my strategy.
You hear that, everyone? I think we got Erbie. He will now be enjoying gameplay from Housamo for the next year at least?
No, but I just want to tap Ryota and win. No.
There is one thing about the banner units I like to say, and it's that Loki's profanity filter got old really quickly.
You can turn off the sound effects at least that that pops in, which I think includes voice effects.
I want to hear my husbando though.
It makes the rest of the battle awkward also because there's no sound effects.
That's true. And no sound keys. I guess that's the one caveat. No shit music, but just shit bleeping. Very sad. Okay, I think we've talked enough about Chapter 14. You're almost approaching 4 hours. I'll read out the chats super quick. I'm sorry for saying nothing about Chapter 14. You told me what the debuff was! Jeez. Guild affiliations are the best thing to enter Housamo. Yeah, even though it supposedly destroyed the game, people are still enjoying it more than before nonetheless, and I think, if anything, the end goal is just increased enjoyment and increased ways of playing, then it succeeded in it, even if it made the game as a whole even easier, even though it was already easy. Chapter 14 Blossom quests are easy without affiliation buffs, so might as well buff your faves instead of worrying about meta, to be honest. Interesting. Yeah, I know Erbie was reliant on affiliation buffs for it in the HP quest, but it's good to know that you don't actually need to lean on them whatsoever. Guild affiliations have been fun, but yeah, I realized almost all my faves aren't a part of the guild, so yeah, don't mind that. Loved max attack blossoming fashionista Wakan on the day affiliations dropped. Yeah, it must have been great to feel vindicated for that. And again, I'll just read out the super chat. Thanks for the stream. Make sure to share this. Our Noxisas, Venmont, etc. exist. Sure. Do you mean like share it with the rest of the folks here? I could do that if people set up their contact information. But yeah, I'll talk about them after stream. Running Christmas Bird Show, Valentine Yoritomo, and Valentine Boar has been fun, though, for warmongers, since they kind of work well to begin with. Oh yeah, I guess they're all warmongers and they're all quite strong. Yeah, warmongers are quite strong, aren't they? Along with the invaders now. Let's see those new contract items.
They're all magic.
I mean, they're still strong even if they're magic. Let us...
No, I mean, Valentine's Yoritomo is magic. Magic damage up.
Yeah, that's quite synergistic, yeah. Let us use those new affiliation contract items to assign unaffiliated transients to guilds. Maybe in Chapter 15. Maybe in Chapter 15. Me looking at Christmas Benton. No guilds. Oscar new meta, I need him. Actually, I think assigning different transients to guilds would be bad because it would just... You know, you'd use the same team and put everyone on that team on the same guild. So let's not do that. Me hoping Thunderbird gets a guild to make my redacted mission strategy work. You have to steal Oscar from Edel. Edel will have to battle me for him. Baby guys, thanks for the stream. I've been praising him before I even saw his face. Anyway, thanks for the stream. And I split a bit between Summers and Warmongers. Not sure if I want to invest in Warmongers a bit more. Me crying it's 117. Wow, that's in reaction to I call it so. And now drinks. Dang, only 102 now. You'll get there, guys. Just grind and invest in rank EXP boosters. Could have been far higher, but I spent like a year having to grind soul gems and level all my units. I can't believe I farmed enough HP blossoms from just Chapter 13 to max 20 units HP. Enjoying gameplay. I think Hidden's the only one who's not enjoying the fact that he has to team build now. Well, you know, once you find a valid team, you don't actually need to switch unless, you know, your current team is not suboptimal or not optimal.
That last team was Shiva.
The last team was Shiva? You mean for Chapter 13?
For Hidden. For Hidden, he was just spamming Shiva, I mean.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
It was like...
Right. I'm sure he can just do what Erbie's doing and invest in Warmongers to make it work for the current Blossom quest. Well, at least the HP one. Can't believe I just like a unit more than Kushi now. Thanks, Loki. Yes. Watch as they put every event unit in Summoners. Start as a member of the Beastars. Bye! Okay, that's pretty much it. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. It was a pleasure to have you all here for 4 hours against Zero. So join us next time in what could be the next event or the next date quest campaign or maybe a chill stream. Who knows? We'll figure out the beats and
spoilers, it's not an event. It's not.
We'll figure it out.
No.
Let's see in like 2 days once this campaign is over. But yeah, that's it from us. We'll say our byes now. So on 3, everyone. 1, 2, 3.
2.
Stop.
Wow.
Bye. Bye.
Close that.
That was awful.
What was that?
Someone said 2.